Chapter 2637 Biggest Winner Lu Ming vs Deng Yu. Lu Ming won. This Deng Yu has such a shocking number of points. After killing Deng Yu, Lu Ming's points skyrocketed and his ranking rose again. Initially, Lu Ming's ranking was 39th in the 20th district. After killing Deng Yu, his ranking rose to 17th in the 20th district. After all, there were more than 50,000 people in the 20th district and 18 megacities. Some people fought almost non-stop, so it was normal to have more points than him. Terrifying, he's really terrifying. Even Deng Yu isn't his match. My God. This person's battle strength is truly astonishing. I never thought that the chaotic astral river would actually produce such a person. I think that with his strength he can probably charge into the top 100 of the overall ranking. It's very likely. We'll have to see his battles with his other opponents in the second round of the assessment. And NBSP, the people watching from all around were shocked to the extreme, unable to calm down. Deng Yu is publicly acknowledged as the most powerful person in this city. However, he was killed by Lu Ming in the end. At this moment in Wanling City, the people of the chaotic astral river were already in an uproar. Lu Ming's ranking has risen again. He has risen again. He's actually reached the 17th place in the 20th zone. This is too shocking. Amazing, amazing, amazing. This time the righteous heavenly army is amazing. Many people sighed with emotion. There was less than a day left before the first round of the assessment was about to end. This time, there were a total of 5 people from the righteous army, and they were ranked in the top 100 in their respective regions. Xianxia and Xianxia were in their respective zones from 70th to 80th. Are the two of them hiding their strength? The ancestor of technique muttered. He knew about Xianxia and Xianxia's talents. Both of them had mastered the divine power. To be able to control the divine-grade divine power as soon as she broke through to the martial G.O.D. realm, her comprehension ability was definitely not low. However, under normal circumstances their ranking would not be so low. Then there was only one possibility. They were hiding their strength. Seeing that they were about to advance, they stopped. On the other hand, Tong Shi'er and Dandan were ranked higher. Tong Shi'er was ranked 53rd in her region. Dandan ranked 36th. In addition to Lu Ming and the Righteous Sky Army, there were a total of 5 people who made it into the top 100 of their respective zones. Even the Yunfeng Pavilion Master would be envious of such a result. After all, only 3 people from the Yunfeng Pavilion had made it into the top 100 of their respective regions. As for Kongji and Situ Haonan, they were so jealous that they were about to go crazy. How did this happen? The heavens are unfair. The two of them roared in their hearts. Previously, someone said that Lu Ming relied on luck and would definitely be killed later on. What about now? Fa Ming's voice was filled with ridicule as he looked towards Situ Haonan and Kong Ji. The two of them were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. At the same time they started to panic. There were so many heaven's favorites in the righteous army, especially Lu Ming. He actually made it to the 17th place in Zone 20. With such talent, if they all joined the Qintian 13 clans, the Origin Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect would not have any good days. The only thing they were happy about was that Situ Feng's ranking was not low either. In his region he was ranked 26th. It's still too early to talk about this. Let's see who will be able to join the 3 overlord forces in the second round. Situ Haonan gritted his teeth and said. There was less than a day's time until the end of this round of assessment. On the last day the Saker in the 20 regions became even more frenzied. That was because once they entered the top 100 of their respective regions, it was almost certain that they would be able to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. However, once they were eliminated it would be a different story. They would not be able to make their own choices. Furthermore, even if one didn't enter the top 100, as long as one's points were high, the chances of being selected by the Qin Heaven 13 clans would be higher. Therefore everyone went crazy. Crazy killing. My ranking is 103. As long as I kill him I can enter the top 100. In the 3rd region, a young Tauren was madly charging at his opponent. In the 6th region, a young man was madly chasing after another young man. However, the other party was running away madly, causing the young man to roar madly. Just a little more. He was just a little bit away, but the other party would not let him kill him so easily. For a moment he could not catch up with the other party and was extremely anxious. Crazy. Everyone's eyes were red as they madly fought. This was related to their future and their destiny. It would be strange if they weren't crazy. In the 20 regions, in the cities, crazy killing was happening everywhere. However, there were some people who no one dared to provoke. Once they saw them, their expressions changed drastically and they immediately fled. For example, Golden Saint Huya, Yangchong, Ling Huyi and others. They were all the kings of their respective regions and they were ranked first. In the 20th zone where Lu Ming and Deng Yu had fought, Lu Ming did not leave. He sat cross-legged and comprehended the incomplete divine skill, waiting for the time to come. However, none of them dared to provoke Lu Ming. They did not even dare to get too close to him. Although everyone knew that Lu Ming had a shocking number of points, who would dare to have any ideas about him? Unless he didn't want to live anymore. Time passed. Said by quickly. When the 3 months were up, his body seemed to be pulled by a force and he turned into a rainbow light and disappeared. The next moment, Lu Ming realized that his spiritual will had returned to his body. They were still in one of the rooms in the inn. At the same time, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, Tong Shi and Dandan had also woken up. The jade talismans above their heads glowed and words appeared on them. Everyone's points and ranking could be clearly seen. With a glance, everything was clear. Little Qing and Xian Yanjuan. Lu Ming was slightly surprised. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjun's ranking was slightly low. Perhaps they're hiding their strength. Lu Ming thought to himself. At this moment, the rankings on the 20 huge screens had been completely fixed. This time, a total of 15 people from the chaotic astral river have entered the top 100 of their respective regions. The righteous army became the biggest winner with 5 people. Even the Yunfeng Pavilion only had 3 people. As for Situ Feng, Situ Shao, Kong Long and the others, only Situ Feng had made it into the top 100. Quick, record down the top rankings of your respective regions. I'll be best if you can get into the top 5,000. The top 10,000 of each region can be recorded. These are the geniuses ACCU, Mulat in the entire Qintian starfield over 1,000 years. At this moment, many people began to record the rankings on the screen. These people came from some of the smaller factions in the Qin Heaven starfield. In the Qin Heaven star zone, other than the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, there were many other small powers. Their strength was far inferior to the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, but compared to powers like the Yunfeng Pavilion, they were still much stronger. These forces knew that those who were ranked higher would definitely not join them. Hence they targeted those who were ranked slightly lower. These people might not catch the attention of the Qin Heaven 13 clans, but they did. Chapter 2638 Purchasing Secret Techniques. This was like Taobao. Those that were ranked lower might not necessarily have no gold. In history, such a situation had also occurred. Some people's performance during the test was average and weren't selected by the Qin Heavenly 13 clans. Instead they joined a small power. However, later on, there were some who soared to the heavens and rose up against the heavens. They became heavenly deities, kings, and even became the top experts of the Qin Heaven star region. Once they found such gold that small power would make a fortune. Many geniuses who weren't chosen by the Qin Heavenly 13 clans would join these small factions. Compared to the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, these small powers were undoubtedly Leviathan powers. Some forces had kings holding down the fort. After a while, the 20 screens in the sky disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by lines of words. At that moment, a message popped up in the jade talismans of Lu Ming and the rest. It was the information and rules of the second round of assessment. Everyone looked at it carefully. The rules of the second round of the assessment were also in the Dream S. Furthermore, just like the first round, everyone's cultivation was suppressed to the first level of the Void D realm. In the Dream S, they could only use the incomplete divine skills they had comprehended. Moreover, the second round was a one-on-one battle on the arena. The top 100 in each of the 20 regions, a total of 2,000 people, would fight in pairs. However, the premise was that they had a month of rest. A month later, they would enter the forest of stone steels where they had comprehended the incomplete divine skill last time and comprehended again. This time it would be 2 years. The second round would only begin 2 years later. It was obvious that this was to further widen the gap between those with talent and comprehension. The Qin Heaven 13 clans were only interested in their comprehension and talent. During the process of the arena battles, experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans would descend and observe their battles. If they were satisfied, they would even take the initiative to invite them. What was different from the first round was that during the 2 years they were comprehending the incomplete divine skill. They could exit at any time and could also enter at any time, so they had much more freedom. There's still a month of maintenance. Shall we go out for a walk? Lu Ming said with a smile. Everyone naturally agreed. Everyone walked out of the inn and strolled on the streets. At the same time they were on Myriad Spirit Planet, the largest commercial planet in the Qin Heaven Star Zone. Lu Ming had a few other goals. Back then he had obtained some divine pills in the deity's cave abode on the northern Shang planet. He wanted to find some books that introduced divine pills and identify them. In addition, he had quite a few divine artifacts on hand. He planned to sell some of them and then buy a batch of divine artifact fragments for Qiuqiu to eat. As Qiuqiu's level increased, his requirements for divine artifact fragments also became higher and higher. The low-level divine artifact fragments were becoming less and less useful to it. He needed to buy some high-level divine artifact fragments. Besides, Lu Ming also wanted to see if he could find any secret skills that could conceal the power of domination so that others would not be able to recognize it easily. You guys go ahead, I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving first. After strolling around for a while, Xian Yinjuan spoke and left from another street. Lu Ming and the rest did not think too much about it. Xian Yinjuan had always been mysterious. They continued to stroll around and not long after they arrived at a bustling area. This area was filled with shops. This was the Qin Heaven Star region's largest business star. Caravans from the various galaxies of the Qin Heaven Star region truly had everything. The crowd was dazzled. Some of the treasures made them envious, but they were shockingly expensive. Even some true his and heavenly his couldn't afford them, let alone them. They strolled around for a while and came to a shop selling divine artifacts. Lu Ming sold a few level 7 low-grade divine artifacts and level 8 low-grade divine artifacts, then exchanged them for some divine artifact fragments of the same level. After that, they went to some shops that sold divine skills and secret techniques. So many divine skills and some secret skills. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Tong Xier's eyes were shining. On the other hand, Xian Yangqing's expression was calm. At a glance, he saw at least a few hundred divine skills. Attack type, speed type, and defense type. However, the high price made them gasp. In addition, there were even secret techniques. Secret techniques were different from divine skills. Secret skills were usually even rarer. They were used for auxiliary purposes. Some could be used to assist in attack, speed, alchemy, weapon refinement, and so on. Lu Ming looked at them one by one. Of course, there was no real copy here. It was just an introduction. Only when they took a fancy to it and wanted to buy it would the shop owner take out the real book. What a mystical secret technique. Lu Ming realized that some secret skills could increase one's combat strength in a short period of time, just like the battle formula. However, unlike the battle formula, there were no side effects. These secret skills usually had side effects. Some could increase one's speed, while some required special cultivation methods to increase one's combat strength. However, the price was usually astonishingly high. Given Lu Ming's current status, he could not afford it. Soul transformation. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up when he saw a secret skill. The soul transformation technique could change the aura, color, and level of divine power. The introduction was very simple, but it was suitable for Lu Ming. However, the price tag was 100,000 divine crystals. Lu Ming frowned. 100,000 divine gems was a very low price compared to other secret skills, but it was not a small amount. Sir, do you need this secret skill? A shop assistant asked Lu Ming. Can the price of this soul transformation technique be a little cheaper? Lu Ming said. Cheaper? I can't make this decision, I need to ask the manager. Wait a moment, I'll go ask the manager. The shopkeeper said politely and left in a hurry. After a while, the palace came back with a middle-aged man. Sir, you need this soul formation technique. How about this? I'll sell it to you for 80,000 divine crystals. Let's be friends. The shopkeeper said with a smile. 80,000 divine crystals is too expensive. I'll buy it for 50,000 divine crystals. Lu Ming said. 50,000, sir. I'm afraid that's not possible. It's too cheap. The shopkeeper shook his head. Shopkeeper, I think you know that the soul-changing technique is not very useful for most people. No matter how long you stay here, I'm afraid no one will buy it. 50,000 divine crystals is enough. Lu Ming shook his head casually, looking as if he did not care. Indeed, this divine transformation spell was completely different from the divine breath spell that Lu Ming had obtained in the past. The divine breath technique could change one's aura as if he was a different person. However, Lu Ming's cultivation level was too high now and the divine breath technique was no longer useful. The soul's Hing spell could only change the aura, level, color, and so on of the divine power. But why would an ordinary person change their divine power level? Chapter 2639 Identifying Divine Pills. The soul transformation spell could only disguise high-level divine power as low-level divine power. It could not disguise low-level divine power as high-level divine power. Why would a normal person who controlled king-grade Shin power disguise their Shin power as normal Shin power? Normal people would wish that their Shin power level was higher. Only a small number of people who controlled sacred grade divine power or divine grade divine power would disguise their divine power as low-level divine power in order to not attract attention. However, such people were too rare. Therefore, as Lu Ming had said, a secret skill like the soul transformation technique was of little value. No one would buy it. The shopkeeper's expression changed. He knew that Lu Ming had a point. 50,000 divine crystals. Any more and I won't take it. I'm just curious. Lu Ming shook his head and was about to turn around and leave. Wait a minute, customer. 50,000 it is. I'll sell it to you. The shopkeeper quickly called out to Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled. He took out 50,000 divine crystals and handed it to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper then went into the depths of the shop and returned with a jade card for Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual senses. It was the secret skill of the divine transformation technique. It's done. Lu Ming was overjoyed. After putting them away, they walked out of the shop and walked around for a while. Xianxia, Tong Xie, Dandan, and the others each bought some things they needed. As for Lu Ming, he bought a few books that introduced some divine pills and returned to the inn. After returning to the inn, Lu Ming took out a book that introduced divine pills and read it carefully. Xianxia walked around alone. Soon she came to a tall building. The experienced ones could tell that this was a famous place on planet Thousand Spirits for gathering information. It was opened by a terrifying force that had power spread across more than half of the primal universe. One could buy a lot of information here. Xianxia walked in and was immediately welcomed. Miss, how may I help you? A young woman asked. I want to get some information. Xianxia said. Excuse me, is it news from the Qin Heaven starfield or from other starfields? The young woman asked. Other starfields. Xianxia. Those from the other starfields, please follow me. The young lady led Xianxia into a room. Half an hour later, Xianxia frowned and left the building. A storm was brewing on planet Myriad Spirit. Some of the smaller forces had already started to meet up with some of the Heaven's favorites who were not at the top of the rankings, hoping to win them over. In an inn. Those BRDS from the Righteous Heaven Army actually managed to get into the top 100. Kong Long roared, his eyes filled with jealousy. Beside him, Situ Shao was in a similar state. This time, there were actually 5 people from the Righteous Heaven Army who had entered the top 100 of their respective regions, which was far beyond their expectations. As for Kong Long and Situ Shao, they didn't make it into the top 100 of their respective regions. Now, if they wanted to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans, it would be a mystery and would depend on luck. Don't worry. As long as I join a sect, I'll definitely recommend you to join together. Situ Feng said indifferently. Many thanks, big brother. Situ Shao was all smiles. Many thanks, brother Situ. Kong Long thanked him profusely. This time it was fortunate that he had Situ Feng. Not only had Situ Feng entered the top 100 in his region, but his ranking wasn't low either. Entering the Qin Heaven 13 clans was a matter of course. Feng, you have to perform well in the second round. The better you perform, the more you will be valued by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. After you join, the treatment you will receive will also be better. Zidu Haonan warned. I know. Situ Feng nodded, and his eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. This time he wants to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat and leave the chaotic astral river. The Qintian galaxy and even the desolate universe were his stage. On a mountain to the north of Wanling City. This was the gathering place of the Tiger Men. At this moment, a roar came from the mountain. Hu Mao and you Hu Gu, with your talent you actually didn't enter the top 100 of the 20th region. What's going on? Hu Ya's gaze was like lightning as he swept towards Hu Mao, Hu Gu and the others. Tiger fur, tiger bones, usually very impressive, but in front of Hu Ya, it was like a mouse seeing a cat. Being swept by Hu Ya's gaze, he shivered. It's all that brat's fault. That be D from the chaotic astral river. Hu Mao gritted his teeth and told him about Lu Ming. Chaotic astral river? I didn't expect that a mere chaotic astral river would have such a genius. However, no matter who it is, he must be punished for killing a member of my tiger clan. Don't worry. Don't let me meet him in the second round. Otherwise I'll make sure he dies a horrible death. Hu Ya said coldly. If it were not for the rule that one was not allowed to lay a hand on other partic. 1. P. Ants during the assessment period, he would have mobilized his power to find Lu Ming and kill him. Time flew by and 3 days passed. Lu Ming had already finished reading the few books that introduced divine pills. He had also roughly matched the divine pills he had obtained from the G.O.D.'s cave abode. The pills in the deity's cave abode were not of a high grade. Otherwise, the deity would not have left them there. There were healing medicinal pills, antidotes, and cultivation-enhancing medicinal pills. Among them, Lu Ming was most interested in 2 types of pills. One was the congealing divine pill. One was the spirit-strengthening pill. The congealing divine elixir could speed up the convergence of 10,000 yuan, allowing the transformation void martial stage to step into the demi-G.D. realm faster. This was exactly what Lu Ming needed now. There was also the spirit-strengthening pill, which was extremely helpful to those in the void G.O.D. realm. After a virtual G.O.D. consumed it, they could condense and increase their divine power, break through to a higher realm and greatly speed up their cultivation. Among them there were 2 bottles of congealing divine elixir with a total of 18 pills. There were a total of 6 bottles of spirit-strengthening pills which contained 54 pills. Lu Ming gave Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Tong Shi a bottle of spirit-strengthening pills each. This way they could speed up their cultivation. He kept 2 bottles for himself. Crack, crack. At the side, Qiuqiu was hugging a piece of magical fragment and eating it with great joy. Lu Ming smiled and took out a few more pieces of the divine artifact fragments and threw them to Qiuqiu. He took out a congealing divine pill and swallowed it before he started cultivating. The 1-month period was up in the blink of an eye. On this day the jade token shone again and brought them into the dream It was still the same stone steel forest from last time. On it there were all kinds of different incomplete divine skills. This time they had 2 years to comprehend it. Roar. On the other side of the steel forest, the roars of beasts could be heard. This time it was a little different from the last time. And NBSP this time, the dream dimension had opened up a training ground filled with countless desolate beasts, allowing everyone to enter. This way it would be of great help in comprehending and cultivating incomplete divine skills. Chapter 2640, Hu Ya's provocation. They didn't act immediately but looked at each other. There were a total of 2,000 people and they might all be compet. 1 tours in 2 years. Lu Ming suddenly felt a few powerful auras pressing down on him. He turned around and saw a few figures walking toward Lu Ming. The Tiger Men. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that these people were from the Tiger clan. The young man in the lead was tall and strong. He was even taller than the Tiger Bone and had a domineering aura. You are Lu Ming? A few young men from the Tiger tribe stopped in front of Lu Ming. The young man in the lead spoke coldly. Not bad. Lu Ming responded. Very good. In the 20th region you killed many of my Tiger tribe's experts. You'd better not meet me in the second round. Otherwise I'll make you die a miserable death. The Tigerman youth in the lead said ferociously as killing intent burst out from his eyes. This brat from the chaotic astral river has actually offended the Tigerman tribe. He's finished. Now that Hu Ya has his eyes on him, I'm afraid he won't have an easy time in the second round. At the side some people were discussing in low voices. Huya, you're really becoming more and more useless. You've actually set your eyes on a person from the chaotic astral river. Your opponent is me. Huya. At this time a rough voice sounded. A young man who was even stronger than Huya stepped out, and his powerful aura pressed down on Huya. Golden Sage, it's the Golden Sage. Some people recognized this young man. He was as famous as Huya and was also a top genius who had mastered sacred-grade divine power. Golden Sage, you and I will have a battle one day. This time the first place will belong to me. Huya sneered. What a joke. You think you can get first place? The first place is mine. The Golden Saint faced off and their auras collided. Divine power spread out from their bodies and a terrifying sharpness flowed out. The two of you are really narcissistic to the extreme. Do you think you're worthy of the first place? At this moment, a young man stepped out and formed a horn with Golden Saint and Huya. Yongchong. He was another existence who controlled the divine power. Golden Saint and Huya's eyes turned serious. This test tests talent, comprehension and combat experience. It's not about having a high Shin power level that you can get first. A cold voice sounded. A young man from the human-snake hybrid clan stepped out and joined the confrontation. That's right. A high level of Shin power does not necessarily mean a high achievement in the future. As long as you have divine skills and wondrous methods, there are many who can catch up from behind. Another young man walked out. Bang! Bang! Following that, powerful auras burst forth as more and more young Heaven's favorites joined in the fight. There were more than 10 of them. Amazing. They're all ranked first in their respective regions. Someone exclaimed. These young men who had joined the confrontation were all ranked first in their respective regions in the first round. Each of them was full of confidence, arrogant and conceited, not weaker than anyone else. Not only these people but also the second and third ranked people in their respective regions were full of confidence. In the first round, the one with the highest points was not the strongest. Sometimes luck was also needed. Some people with low points did not mean they were not strong. These people were also full of fighting spirit and wanted to compete with the Golden Sage, Huya and the others. Lu Ming smiled casually and took a few steps back. He could not be bothered to fight with these people. It was useless to say anything now. He would naturally know when they fought 2 years later. Then let's have a battle 2 years later. Huya said coldly. Then he glanced at Lu Ming coldly. In a flash, he led the geniuses of the Tiger Clan and charged into the forest of stone steels. Then Golden Sage and the others also rushed into the stone steel forest and disappeared. Buzz. 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 After that, the others flashed and rushed toward the steel forest. This time there were only 2,000 people and they looked In the blink of an eye, they entered the forest of stone steels. However, different people had different choices. Some people rushed into the stone steel forest to find new and incomplete divine skills to cultivate. For example, most people would choose an incomplete speed divine skill or an incomplete defense divine skill. When combined with an incomplete attack divine skill, the power would definitely be stronger. However, in this way, comprehending several incomplete divine skills at the same time was bound to divide a lot of energy. And some people directly said through the forest of stone steels and rushed into the other side of the forest of stone steels. They entered the training ground, looked for desolate beasts to kill, and focused on cultivating an incomplete divine skill. As long as one cultivated an incomplete divine skill to an extremely high realm, its power would similarly be extremely shocking. Everyone had their own choices. Lu Ming, Xianxia and the rest split up. Lu Ming wandered around the stone tablet forest. Lu Ming also planned to choose an incomplete divine skill to cultivate. His comprehension was high enough and choosing one more was the best way. Not long after, Lu Ming chose an incomplete speed-type divine skill. This incomplete divine skill actually had a name. ROC Wing Technique. He had comprehended the great ROC's flight and had evolved it. Once he used it, it was as if the great ROC had spread its wings and his speed was astonishing. Similarly, this incomplete divine skill was divided into 7 levels. Lu Ming began to study it carefully. After more than a month, Lu Ming finally got the hang of it. Lu Ming did not continue to cultivate after he entered the sect. He said through the forest of stone steels and came to the other side. He wanted to enter the training ground and find desolate beasts to kill. This way his cultivation speed would be the fastest. On the other side of the steel forest, there were 72 huge caves that led to different training grounds. The last time they entered this place there were no Void Realm experts. This was the first time they had seen them. Lu Ming walked into a cave at random. After passing through the cave, a boundless plain appeared in front of him. Roar, roar. On the plain, the roars were like thunder, and one could see many huge desolate beasts wandering around. Some of the desolate beasts were already fighting with some young men. ROC wing technique. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He used his ruler's power to activate the ROC wing technique. A pair of invisible wings seemed to have appeared on his back, causing his speed to increase explosively as he charged toward the plain. Not long after, a wild beast that looked like a lion and was 10 meters tall pounced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not fight back. He cast the ROC wings technique and dodged the wild beast's attack. He went around the wild beast and went deep into the plain. Along the way, desolate beasts attacked Lu Ming continuously. He dodged them with the ROC wing technique. This way he could also practice the ROC wing technique. Lu Ming did not know how deep he had gone. At this point he could not see any other young talents. At this moment Lu Ming finally stopped. Roar. Roar. All of a sudden a few dire beasts pounced at Lu Ming. These wild beasts weren't very strong. Some of them were equivalent to first-level Void D realm, some were second-level Void D realm, and there were only a few third-level Void D realm beasts. Of course there were also those at or above the fourth level of the Void D realm. Of course the number was even fewer. A long spear formed in Lu Ming's palm. At the same time he cast the ROC wing technique and charged at the wild beasts. The spear light swept across and the roar was like thunder. The bitter cultivation had begun. With desolate beasts as training, the speed of cultivation of incomplete divine skills would be much faster. Chapter 2641 Another's Him Spirit Mouse. As time passed, said Lu Ming's control over the two incomplete divine skills became deeper and deeper. 2 months later, Lu Ming's incomplete spear technique had another breakthrough and reached the 4th level. As for the ROC wing technique, he had also cultivated it to the 2nd level. It's not enough. I have to cultivate to a higher level, Lu Ming muttered. To be honest, he was still under a bit of pressure for this assessment. It would not be easy to get first place without exposing his ruler's power. The Golden Saint, Hu Ya and Yang Chong were all existences who could control divine-grade divine power, and their comprehension abilities were definitely not low. It would not be easy to defeat them. The main thing was that Lu Ming's cultivation level was too low. Hu Ya and the others were all suppressed to the 1st level of the Void D realm. Lu Ming was only a 7-star heavenly emperor. Since he could not use the battle formula, Lu Ming did not have much of an advantage. After all, the power of the divine power was extremely powerful. Therefore, if he wanted to defeat his opponent with a lower cultivation base, an incomplete divine skill was of utmost importance. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Time passed, said day by day. One day, a figure suddenly appeared in the outside Myriad Spirit Planet. This figure was a beautiful middle-aged woman. She looked to be in her 40s, but she still had her charm. She stopped and looked at Planet Thousand Spirits. I didn't expect that there would be a member of my clan in the Qin Heaven Star system. It seems that he hasn't reached adulthood yet. He should be a descendant of one of my clan members who has been stranded outside. Our race is originally small in number. Since we've encountered them, we'll bring them back and nurture them well. After saying that, the beautiful middle-aged woman took a step forward. The next moment she appeared on a street in Wanling City. Her speed was so fast that it was unbelievable. Moreover, no one on the street seemed to have noticed how the beautiful middle-aged woman had appeared. It was as if she had been there all along. Among these people there were heavenly D-level existences. The beautiful middle-aged woman's gaze landed on an inn. This inn was the one where Lu Ming and the others were staying. The next moment she took another step and appeared in a room. This room was Bubbles' cultivation place. Bubbles had been following Lu Ming here and was cultivating in this room. Bubbles had been cultivating with her eyes closed. Suddenly she sensed something and opened her eyes. She saw the beautiful middle-aged woman standing in front of her, sizing her up curiously. Peoba was given a huge shock as she stood up and wanted to escape. However, she realized that she couldn't move. She was confined in the air. She has excellent talent and is a top-grade unpolished jade. If she is sculpted, she will definitely be dazzling. The beautiful middle-aged woman sized up the bubble carefully. The more she looked at it, the more satisfied she was. Who are you? Why do I feel so close to him? Pow Pow blinked her eyes and said. Right now she was no longer afraid. Instead, she could feel a sense of familiarity from this beautiful middle-aged lady. You and I are of the same race, so we naturally have a sense of familiarity. The beautiful middle-aged woman smiled and then her figure changed rapidly. The next moment, the spirit mouse appeared in the air. S-P-A-C times spirit mouse. The beautiful middle-aged woman was also a spirit mouse. You, Bubbles blinked her eyes hard. This was the first time she had seen other times spirit rats and she felt closer to them. Little fellow, you've probably never returned to the clan before, right? Now I'll bring you back to the clan. That's the place you should stay. Only then can your talent truly be displayed. The beautiful middle-aged woman said as she transformed back into her human form. Return to your race with you? Pauba muttered. To be honest, she really wanted to follow the middle-aged woman to the He times Spirit Rat clan and meet other members of the same clan. However, she could not bear to part with Lu Ming. I want to say goodbye to brother Lu Ming before I can leave with you. Finally, Bubbles gritted her teeth. Although she could not bear to part with Lu Ming, she realized that her current cultivation level was too low. He could not help Lu Ming at all. Even Dandan's cultivation level had said hers. Therefore, she decided to return to the clan with the middle-aged woman first to improve her strength before coming out. Farewell, that's easy. The beautiful middle-aged woman revealed a happy expression and swept her gaze over the crowd. There's a World Divine Turtle here. My clan and the World Divine Turtle have a deep relationship. Why don't we bring this World Divine Turtle to the World Divine Turtle clan? The beautiful middle-aged woman muttered. Then she waved her hand and brought Bubbles to Dandan's room. At this moment, a jade card was floating above Dandan's head, and she was cultivating an incomplete divine skill in the dream Wake up. The beautiful middle-aged woman said. The light on the jade tablet above Dandan's head dimmed and he woke up. Nest, what happened? I'm cultivating right now. As soon as Dandan woke up, she let out a strange cry, and then immediately saw the middle-aged beautiful woman. The moment he saw the middle-aged lady, Dandan's hair stood on end. He wanted to retreat immediately, but just like Bubbles, he realized that he could not move at all. Dandan, it's like this is a senior of my clan. Bubbles introduced the beautiful middle-aged lady. It turns out to be a senior of the Spirit Rat clan. Dandan's heart moved. Little guy, you're not young anymore. You must have learned a lot from your bloodline inheritance. In the primeval universe, the world turtle and the T times Spirit Rat are quite related. Are you willing to come with me? I'll take you back to the World Turtle clan. The beautiful middle-aged woman said. I'm willing, of course I'm willing. I know I'm 10,000 times willing to do it. Dandan immediately agreed and nodded quickly. How could he not be willing? As long as he could return to the Divine Turtle clan of the world, he would be able to improve even faster. Why would he need to join the Qin Heavenly 13 clans? Dandan, I want to say goodbye to brother Lu Ming. Pow Pow said. It's good. Say goodbye to that guy. Dandan nodded. Then the middle-aged lady brought the two of them to Lu Ming's room. A voice was heard and Lu Ming woke up. What's going on? Lu Ming was also a little dumbfounded. He was fighting with the dire beasts and suddenly left the dream You are. At the sight of the middle-aged lady, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed as thoughts ran through his mind. Could it be that this person had asked him to leave the dream Brother Lu Ming, this is a senior from my clan. Pow Pow pulled Lu Ming's arm and said. A senior of the Spirit Rat clan. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He had heard the ancestral dragon mention it before. A few of the top 10 battle beasts in the Heaven Realm were not native to the Heaven Realm, but came from the Desolate Universe. The World Turtle, the times Spirit Rat, and the Saint Spirit Ant all came from the Primal Universe. Could it be that the person in front of him was a senior of the times Spirit Rat clan in the Primal Universe? Lu Ming, it's like this. Dandan explained that they were going to return to the clan with the beautiful middle-aged woman. This is a good thing. Lu Ming smiled. He naturally would not object. Only by returning to the clan with the beautiful middle-aged woman would they have a better future. Following him would instead bury one's talent. Chapter 2642 Demi-G. Oh, Brother Lu Ming, when I'm successful in my cultivation in the future, he'll definitely come back and look for you, Bubbles said, a little reluctant. She had been following Lu Ming since she was very young. Naturally, she was reluctant to part with him. Go. Cultivate well. In the future I will visit you too. Lu Ming smiled. Although he was also a little reluctant, he also understood that separation was the best choice. Not bad, little guy. You're very talented and have a lot of opportunities. In the future you might have a chance in the universe. The middle-aged lady sized Lu Ming up as if she could see through him. There was a hint of surprise in her eyes. Lu Ming laughed bitterly in his heart. He knew that this beautiful middle-aged woman's cultivation had probably reached an unbelievable level. His secret would most likely be seen through by her. I wonder if she has discovered the battle formula. Lu Ming thought in his heart. The word battle that Bai Ye had once mentioned was an extremely precious treasure even in the primeval universe. Many great figures would fight to the death for it. If he was discovered by the beautiful middle-aged woman, who knew what the consequences would be. However, at this moment, Lu Ming discovered that the word battle in his sea of consciousness was shrinking rapidly. It was billions of times smaller than a speck of dust, as if it was afraid that the beautiful middle-aged woman would notice it. Fortunately, the beautiful middle-aged woman didn't seem to notice anything strange. Little fellow, you can be considered to have fate with my clan. I will give you a hand. With that, the middle-aged lady waved her hand and a stream of energy surged into Lu Ming's body. Immediately, Lu Ming felt that all the energy in his body was about to be condensed into one, reaching the point of 10,000 elements returning to one and igniting the divine fire. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming was grateful. He knew that the other party was helping him. See you again if we're fated to. The beautiful middle-aged woman waved her hand and the bubble disappeared with Dandan. See you again if we're fated to. Lu Ming muttered. He then sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. Boom, boom, boom. And NBSP in his body, sovereign power surged like a river. Originally he had also had a wisp of world energy. But now, this wisp of world power had been completely melted by the ruler's power and transformed into it. The only thing left in his meridians was the power of nothing else. Initially, if Lu Ming wanted to reach this stage, he would need a period of time to polish it. He estimated that he would need at least more than 10 years. However, with the help of the beautiful middle-aged woman's power, he had broken through directly. Congealing divine pill. Lu Ming took out a few more congealing divine pills and swallowed them in one go. Boom, boom, boom. With the help of the spirit congealing pill, his ruler's power started to gather in his dantian. Then it kept on compressing. Compress again. In the end, all the ruler's power gathered into a ball in his dantian and kept compressing. And NBSP, when it was compressed to its limit, the sovereign power underwent an earth-shaking transformation. On the surface of the sovereign power, a flame suddenly began to spread. In the beginning the flame was small, but soon the flame grew bigger and finally burned fiercely. Divine fire. This was a divine fire formed from divine power. Lu Ming had successfully ignited the divine fire. It meant that he had entered the Demi-G realm. And NBSP and NBSP not long after, all of the G energy had been converted into divine fire. Lu Ming had officially entered the Demi-G realm. Of course, it was only a wisp of divine fire now, and the amount was not large. Next, he needed to keep strengthening the divine fire and fill his body with divine power. Then, with the help of the divine power, his body would complete a transformation and turn into a divine body. At that time, he would have stepped into the martial realm and become a Let's test its power. With a single thought, Lu Ming ignited the divine fire and a thin layer of divine power spread out from his palm. Buzz. Lu Ming's palm cut through the void, making an ear-piercing sound. Divine power. The power of this divine power is indeed much stronger than the power of Lu Ming revealed a smile. And NBSP, although he only had a wisp of divine fire in his body, This was a G. O. DS divine power that was far stronger than the G. O. DS divine power from before. Lu Ming's combat strength did not decrease. Instead, it increased by another level. Lu Ming was more confident about the second round of the A assessment. After becoming a demi-G. O. D, he was only one step away from first-level virtual G. O. D level. Lu Ming was confident that even if he did not unleash the full power of the ruler's divine power, he would be able to suppress everyone. He still had this bit of confidence. Next, Lu Ming swallowed a few more congealing divine pills to completely consolidate his realm. Then he entered the Dreamus, he again to cultivate. In these 2 years they could freely enter and exit the Dreamus. Time flew by and 2 years passed. Set in a flash. Dream Realm Trial Grounds Plains. Or. At least a dozen 4th-tier virtual G. O. D-level wild beasts pounced at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's body moved like a ROC flying in the sky, easily avoiding the attacks of more than a dozen wild beasts. Then he thrust his long spear forward, and more than a dozen spear gleams pierced toward these wild beasts. In an instant, more than a dozen wild beasts that were equivalent to 4th-level Void G. O. D level were all killed by Lu Ming. The ROC wing technique has reached the 6th level. As for that spear technique, it has also reached the 6th level. Lu Ming smiled. This was what he had gained in the past 2 years. The more one cultivated a divine skill, the harder it was to improve it. However, Lu Ming had used 2 years to cultivate 2 incomplete divine skills to the 6th level. If news of this spread, many people would be shocked. There was no doubt that Lu Ming's comprehension ability was the best of the best. Otherwise, he would not have been able to create miracles in the heaven realm, control multiple ultimate maxims at the same time, and finally cultivate the path of domination. And NBSP Weng. At this time, pillars of light descended from the sky, enveloping everyone. Their figures disappeared, and in the next moment they appeared on stone platforms. The stone platforms were suspended in the air. Nearly 2,000 stone platforms surrounded a huge battle platform. This place was still the Dreamus. Buzz. At this moment, a figure appeared in the sky above the fighting ring. This figure was the host, the one the 13 clans had chosen to host this test. The MTS on planet Thousand Spirits was once again filled with people. Everyone's eyes were looking at the sky. In the sky there was a huge screen that completely reflected the situation in the Dreamus. Everyone could see the compet. 1. Tian in the Dreamus. Through this screen. Within the Dreamus. The figure above the fighting ring was a middle-aged man. His eyes swept across the crowd as he spoke. For all of you to be able to enter the second round, you are all the elites of the Qin Heaven Star region in the past 1,000 years. All of you already have the qualifications to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. However, all of you have to perform well next. The better you perform, the more you will be valued by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. In the future, when you enter the Qin Heaven 13 clans, the treatment you will receive will also be better. Do you understand? The middle-aged man said. Understood. Everyone roared, their eyes burning. Chapter 2643. The final battle begins. Although it was already certain that they would be able to enter the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, they had to perform well if they wanted to obtain a better future. If they were chosen by some big shot, they could also soar to the sky. Everyone's eyes were burning. Now please welcome the seniors of the 13 clans. The burly man said as he cupped his fists in the air. Suddenly there was a flash of light in the sky. Then figures appeared one after another. There were a total of 13 batches of people, and each batch had 3 to 5 people. There were men and women, old and young. These were the experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans. Many people were shocked and swore to themselves that they would perform well later. Alright, let's start the compet. 1. Tian now. There were 2,000 of you, but now there are only 1,999 of you. One of you hasn't come yet, but it doesn't matter. The compet. 1. Tian later will be random. The Jade Talisman will light up at random. The 2 people who light up at the same time will go up. The middle-aged man announced. Lu Ming smiled. The one missing was naturally Dandan. Buzz. Buzz. Suddenly, the jade talismans above two people's heads started to shine like two stars. You two go up and fight. The middle-aged man said. Of the two youths, one was a youth from the Serpentmen tribe and the other was a genius from the Turtles L tribe. The Tortoise L clan was similar to the human clan in every other aspect, except that they had a tortoise L on their back and they were known for their defense. The two of them looked at each other with cold eyes. Then they jumped onto the fighting ring at the same time and stood opposite each other. Whoosh. The young man from the human-snake hybrid clan was the first to make a move. He stomped his feet and his body moved like lightning toward the young man from the turtle L clan. In his hand, a sword light was thrust at the young man from the turtle L clan. The attacks of the human-snake hybrid clan were fast, accurate, and ruthless. However, the young man didn't panic at all. Gray divine power emanated from his body, and then his limbs and head retracted into the sh. Clang. The Serpent Man youth's long sword stabbed into the turtle sh. L, causing sparks to fly in all directions. However, the turtle L only rolled back a few times and was completely fine. Is it useful to hide in your turtle sh? L, watch me break your turtle sh. Fell. The young man from the Serpentmen race said coldly. He kept swinging his long sword and sword chi shot toward the young man from the turtle L race. However, the turtles L, I was completely fine even when the sword light slashed at it. The sword light disappeared and the other party was directly cut in half. The two halves of his body turned into energy and disappeared, and then condensed on the stone platforms around the fighting ring. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Although he wouldn't really die if he was killed in the dream that feeling was real. If he was outside he would have died already. He was filled with lingering fear. So strong. His incomplete divine skill has already been cultivated to the 4th level. And he's definitely at the peak of the 4th level. Terrifying, too terrifying. With the same level of Shin power and the same cultivation, an ordinary person can't block one sword from him. Many people were discussing in shock. Situ Feng's attack made many people's faces turn grave. An incomplete divine skill at the peak of the 4th level was already very high. One had to know that incomplete divine skills were harder to cultivate the further one went. Although 2 years had passed since the first round of assessment, most of the people were still in the 2nd and 3rd level. This was the first time someone had reached the 4th level. Furthermore, it was at the peak of the 4th level, not far from the 5th level. Combined with Situ Feng's king-grade divine power, how many people could be his match? Not bad. An expert from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans nodded with a smile. He looked at Situ Feng and seemed to be tempted. The experts from the other sects also looked at Situ Feng. To be able to cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the peak of the 4th level in just a few years, his comprehension ability was already very high. Big Brother is amazing. If Lu Ming were to encounter Big Brother, he would definitely not be able to withstand a single sword. Outside, Situ Xiao laughed. Situ Haonan's face was also filled with joy. Brother Situ, congratulations. The big shots of the 13 clans just praised you. It's rare to be praised by the big shots of the 13 clans. Kongji also laughed and flattered. Although he was extremely jealous, he naturally had to quickly befriend Situ Haonan and firmly grasp this ally. That's right. Brother Situ, with your son's talent, it's normal for him to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans, 3 chiefs. I'm so envious. The other masters of the other powers in the chaotic astral river also praised him one by one. They wanted to take this opportunity to build a good relationship with Situ Haonan. Situ Haonan's mouth was about to split open from the smile. Chapter 2644 Multi-eyed race. Many of them looked at Situ Feng with a serious expression as they wondered how they should deal with him if they encountered him later. Only a small number of people remained calm and unmoved. Lu Ming, I hope you don't meet me. At this moment, Situ Feng looked at Lu Ming and sent him a message. Then he leaped and flew onto the stone platform. I wish I could meet you. Lu Ming smiled faintly and replied, causing Situ Feng's eyes to emit a cold light. The compet. 1. Tian continued. One by one. Not long after, it was Xianxia turn. Beauty, you're so beautiful. I can't bear to hurt you. You should just admit defeat. Xianxia's opponent was a rather handsome young man. He looked at Xianxia teasingly. Buzz. Xianxia immediately attacked. His sword light burst forth and enveloped his opponent. His opponent's incomplete divine skill had only been cultivated to the 3rd level. He was no match for Xianxia and was killed after a few moves. What a powerful woman. Many people were secretly shocked. She's holding back. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The others were shocked by Xianxia's power, but Lu Ming knew that Xianxia had held back. He did not use his full strength. Otherwise he could have killed the other party in one move. Lu Ming was curious as to why Xianxia had held back. Given her character, she would have killed him with one strike if he had provoked her like that. The compet. 1. Tian continued, and soon it was Xianxia's turn. Xianxia seemed to have held back as well. He did not use his full strength, especially when it came to the use of divine power. This made others think that she only controlled king-grade divine power. Then it was Tong Xie's turn. Tong Xie's talent was very high, and the king-grade divine power she controlled was also a very terrifying king-grade divine power. Her comprehension was also extremely high, and she easily defeated her opponent. 3 people from the righteous army advanced in a row, causing the smiles on Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's faces to slowly disappear. Buzz. At this moment, a beam of light suddenly rose from Lu Ming's body. It was his turn. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on the field. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. His opponent was actually a 3-eyed race member. It looked almost the same as the evil G. O. D tribe of the evil G. O. D world. During this period of time, Lu Ming had also read some ancient books and had a better understanding of the 3-eyed race. The 3-eye race was considered a large race in the Qin Heaven Star region. They were very strong. Furthermore, the 3-eyed race was under the multi-eyed race. The multi-eyed race was an extremely terrifying race. Even in the primeval universe, its reputation was well known. It was ranked near the top of the list of 10,000 races in the primeval universe. The 3-eyed race was only a branch of the multi-eyed race. Of course, the 3-eyed race in front of him had nothing to do with the Yuanluo Palace. However, due to the evil G. O.D. world, Lu Ming naturally did not have a good impression of the 3-eyed race. Brat, I advise you. The heaven's favorite of the 3-eyed race was ready to show off. However, Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath on the other party. He rushed over and swept his long spear across. You're looking for death. The heaven's favorite of the 3-eyed race roared in anger. His divine power condensed into a battle axe and he swung it at Lu Ming. Boom. The battle axe and the spear collided. A total of 9 layers of power burst out from the spear. The 9-layered strength was the manifestation of the 4th-layered incomplete divine skill of the spear technique. The terrifying power directly destroyed the battle axe condensed by the 3-eyed race's prodigy's divine power. Then the long spear struck the 3-eyed race's prodigy's body. He screamed in pain and his body exploded, turning into energy and dissipating. In the next moment he condensed on the stone platform and looked at Lu Ming in horror. He could not even withstand one move from Lu Ming and was killed in seconds. The 4th level. His incomplete divine skill has also reached the 4th level. Terrifying. Look at his badge. This person also comes from the chaotic astral river. In the chaotic astral river, there are actually 2 existences who have cultivated their incomplete divine skills to the 4th level. It seems that we've all underestimated the chaotic astral river. Lu Ming's abilities shocked many people. Even the important figures of the Qin Heaven 13 clans were a little shocked. Obviously, they had not expected that several good people would appear in succession in the chaotic astral river, which was beyond their expectations. Originally, they did not put the chaotic astral river in their eyes at all. They thought that there would not be any Heaven's Pride experts in the chaotic astral river. Therefore, in the past, when the 13 clans recruited disciples, they did not open up the chaotic astral river to them. This time it was only because a certain important figure of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans had a sudden impulse and said that they would also open up the chaotic astral river. That's why they are recruiting disciples this time and also opening it up to the chaotic astral river. It seems that he'll have to go to the chaotic astral river more often in the future. Maybe he'll find some good seedlings. The experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans had different thoughts in their minds. The 4th level of an incomplete divine skill. Seems like it's not that difficult to successfully cultivate it. Outside, the ancestor of technique laughed. He deliberately raised his voice and transmitted it to Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's ears. Kong Ji and Situ Haonan coldly snorted. Their faces were gloomy. If I had known that this brat's talent was so high, I would have killed him long ago. Situ Haonan gritted his teeth and said. Back then, when they were besieging the ancestor of technique on Qinjin Island on the northern Shang planet, it was Lu Ming who had suddenly appeared and given the ancestor of technique a level 7 middle-grade divine artifact, allowing him to turn the tide of the battle. If he had known that Lu Ming was so talented and had become Situ Feng's rival, he would have killed Lu Ming with all his might that day. But now it was too late. They were filled with regret. Don't worry, Feng, we'll definitely go further than him in the end. Situ Haonan gritted his teeth and said. After Lu Ming killed his opponent, he returned to the fighting ring. When many people looked at him, they were on guard. They obviously saw him as a threatening opponent. Interesting. It's only interesting to kill like this. When the tiger's teeth looked at Lu Ming, they revealed a hint of ferocity. The compet. 1. Tian continued. Pairs of people entered the arena and continued to fight. Most of them used their full strength as soon as they made their move, exploding with their peak combat strength. They understood that the people of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans were watching. The better their performance was, the more they would be valued. Even if they were defeated by their opponents, as long as their performance was good enough, they would still be valued. There were nearly 1,000 matches in the first round of the compet. 1. Tian, and it took half a month before all of them ended. Other than Dandan, 1,999 people had gone through 999 rounds of compet. 1. Tian. One person had directly advanced without a fight. In the second round there were a total of 1,000 people. They continued to fight in pairs like before. After entering the second round, the compet. 1. Tian was undoubtedly more intense, because those who could enter the second round were all experts. One battle after another continued. Soon it was Situ Feng's turn. Situ Feng was indeed very strong. He had used an incomplete divine skill at the peak of the fourth stage and easily defeated his opponent. Not long after, it was Xian Yinjuan and Xian Yanqing's turn. However, neither of them used their full strength. They pretended to fight with their opponent for dozens of moves before they defeated him. Chapter 2645 Fighting Situ Feng. Soon after Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan, it was Tong Xier's turn. After a fierce battle, Tong Xier also defeated her opponent. After that, Lu Ming made his move and naturally defeated his opponent easily. People like Hu Ye, Golden Sage, Yang Chong, Ling Hu Yi, and the others all easily killed their opponents without any suspense. After the second round ended, there were 500 people who advanced. Then the 500 people began the third round. 500 enter the 250th place. Situ Feng still won this round, but Xian Yinjuan and Xian Yanqing were defeated by their opponents and stopped here. Lu Ming, I'm cultivating a cultivation technique from my past life. It's not convenient for me to reveal too much. Back on the stone platform, Xian Yanqing sent Lu Ming a voice transmission. Lu Ming nodded. He guessed that Xian Yanqing's past life, or perhaps the current Xian Yinjuan, must have an extraordinary background. They didn't dare to reveal too much. Could it be that they had a great enemy? Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Xian Yanqing wouldn't hide anything from him, but whenever something from his previous life was mentioned, Xian Yanqing was always reluctant to say more. Was it because of the great enemy? The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's past lives must have been extraordinary. This was because reincarnation was involved in the past and present life. Anyway, according to Lu Ming's knowledge, no one could reincarnate. Could A.G. Oh, King do that? In the heaven realm, the sacred ancestor Bloodheart had awakened from Lu Ming's bloodline, but it was not reincarnation. This was because the sacred ancestor Bloodheart was not dead at all. He had only used a drop of his bloodline to hide in the depths of Lu Ming's bloodline. Also back then, Dandan did not reincarnate. Dandan was seriously injured and turned into an egg, and she was reborn. Reincarnation was a mystery. Xian Yinjuan and Xian Yanqing reincarnated at the same time in their previous lives, so it was very likely that they had a great enemy. Furthermore, their greatest enemy was most likely the greatest enemy of the entire universe. Lu Ming thought of many things. He understood that Xianxia did not want to say more because he did not want to implicate him, Lu Shenhuang and the rest. My strength is too low. Little Qing, one day I will become a peak master in the primeval universe and you will no longer have to worry about me. Lu Ming secretly swore in his heart. After Xianxia and Xianyinjuan lost, Tong Xie went on stage. After a difficult battle, Tong Xie barely won against her opponent. When it was Lu Ming's turn, he also defeated his opponent. Golden Sage, Huya, and the others naturally had no suspense. After the third round ended, there were 250 people left. In the fighting ring, many people moved away from Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng's strength was simply too astonishing. Up until now, he had yet to unleash his full strength and no one dared to fight him. Lu Ming, we finally met. Let's have a battle. Just what I wanted. Suddenly, the two figures charged at each other and started fighting. Fight me. Fight. The two of them were like a fuse and people kept fighting each other. Lu Ming. Situ Feng fixed his eyes on Lu Ming and strode toward him, his cold killing intent locked onto Lu Ming. They're going to fight. Lu Ming is going to fight Situ Feng. Outside, the eyes of many chaotic astral river experts brighten. They were all from the chaotic astral river. Naturally, they would pay more attention to Lu Ming and Situ Feng. They all wanted to see who was stronger between Lu Ming and Situ Feng. Feng will definitely be able to kill Lu Ming. Together with Yang Cheng, will be the last two to enter the top 10. Situ Haonan roared in his heart as he was filled with antic. 1. Asian. Whoosh. Situ Feng's divine power surged and condensed into a combat sword. His entire person was like a dazzling sword light as he charged toward Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming condensed a long spear with his ruler's power. He swept it out and it collided with Situ Feng's combat sword. With a violent boom, a figure retreated quickly. It was Situ Feng. Situ Feng has retreated. He is not Lu Ming's match. Some people of the chaotic astral river cried out in alarm. How could it be like this? Can it? Situ Haonan and Kong Ji both roared in their hearts. Their faces were gloomy. Situ Feng, this is your strength. What a disappointment. Kill him. Lu Ming said coldly. He took a step forward and charged at Situ Feng at top speed. The long spear shook and beams of dazzling spear light enveloped Situ Feng. Situ Feng exerted all his strength and executed the incomplete divine skill at the peak of the 4th level to the extreme. However, he was still suppressed by Lu Ming and was forced to retreat. Lu Ming, you're indeed quite powerful. I was planning to use it last, but now you can die. Situ Feng's cold voice was heard. As soon as he finished speaking, his speed suddenly increased and he appeared behind Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. He slashed down with his sword as fast as lightning. Chapter 2646. Shocking everyone, Situ Feng's speed suddenly increased. He appeared behind Lu Ming and slashed out with his sword. The sharp and terrifying sword chi made Lu Ming's skin tighten. What incredible speed. It's an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He took a step forward and his body burst forward. Then he whipped his long spear backward. Thump. The spear gleam swept across Situ Feng's sword aura, allowing Lu Ming to avoid Situ Feng's attack by a hair's breadth. It's an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Situ Feng has actually cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Moreover, judging from its power, it has also reached the 4th level. Terrifying, truly terrifying. The Situ Feng has actually cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills to the 4th level in just a few years. Many people were amazed. Everyone knew that Situ Feng had been hiding his strength. What he cultivated was not an incomplete divine skill but 2. A speed-type incomplete divine skill and an attack-type incomplete divine skill. The combination of the 2 would increase the power explosively. Even the eyes of the big shots of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans lit up. In just a few years, you've managed to cultivate 2 incomplete divine skills to the 4th level. This kind of comprehension ability is not bad, not bad. I didn't expect that there would be such a person in the chaotic astral river. A purple-robed elder from the indestructible sword sect, one of the 3 overlord forces, stroked his beard and revealed a satisfied expression. Pa Feng has actually cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill. That's great. I knew he wouldn't lose. Situ Haonan even laughed out loud in excitement. He was truly excited. Didn't he see that even the experts from the indestructible sword sect, one of the three overlord forces, were praising Situ Feng? It was obvious that she had taken a fancy to Situ Feng. There was a high chance that Situ Feng would join the Eternal Sword sect, so it would be strange if he wasn't excited. Kill him. Kill that brat. Situ Haonan roared in his heart. Lu Ming, you're still far from being comparable to me. I'm the #1 heavenly pride in the chaotic astral river. Situ Feng sneered and pounced toward Lu Ming. In an instant, 36 sword gleams were aimed at Lu Ming's vital points. The combination of a speed-type incomplete divine skill and an attack-type incomplete divine skill was indeed powerful, and it increased his combat power by a large margin. Buzz. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and swept it out with the momentum of sweeping away thousands of troops. Bang! Bang! Situ Feng's sword gleam shattered continuously, but it burst out again and slashed at Lu Ming. In the span of a breath, Situ Feng had circled Lu Ming 37 times and slashed out 1,086 sword gleams. This was the terrifying combination of an incomplete speed-type divine skill and an incomplete attack-type divine skill. The combination of the two completely controlled Lu Ming within a certain range. He could only be beaten up passively. This was because one's speed was not as fast as the other party's. When one's attack was launched, the other party would have dodged it. However, it would be difficult for one to dodge the other party's attack. Let's see how many moves you can block. Die. Situ Feng's cold voice sounded and his attacks became more and more violent. Situ Feng, is this your full strength? Then let's stop here. At this moment Lu Ming spoke calmly. As soon as Lu Ming's voice fell, his figure soared into the sky like a ROC spreading its wings. Then Lu Ming swooped down at an amazing speed. He became one with his spear and stabbed at Situ Feng. Fast, it was extremely fast. Many people had the illusion that Lu Ming had transformed into a ROC and was hunting for prey. It's an incomplete speed-type divine skill, and it's also an incomplete level 4 speed-type divine skill. Someone exclaimed. Lu Ming had also mastered an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Situ Feng's eyes narrowed as he slashed his combat sword violently, clashing with Lu Ming's long spear. Break. Lu Ming said softly. He shook the long spear and in an instant, 11 layers of strength burst out. Incomplete divine skill 5th level. At this moment Lu Ming used the 4th stage of the ROC wings technique and the 5th stage of the incomplete divine skill. Of course, Lu Ming concealed his divine power and did not use his full strength. Otherwise he would not have needed to use so many moves. Even so, Situ Feng could not withstand it at all. The sword gleam collapsed and Lu Ming's spear pierced through Situ Feng's head, killing him instantly. In the next moment, Situ Feng appeared on the stone platform with a look of disbelief. The 5th level of an offensive divine skill. His offensive divine skill has reached the 5th level. My G. Oh. D, it's actually the 5th level. How is this possible? This is too scary. Many people could tell the level of the incomplete divine skill that Lu Ming used and exclaimed in disbelief. At this moment, everyone's eyes shifted from the others to Lu Ming. This was the first time they had seen someone cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the 5th level. One had to know that they only had 3 years to cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the 5th level and another incomplete speed-type divine skill to the 4th level. This level of talent and comprehension was too terrifying. Many of the young men looked at Lu Ming with grave expressions. Only a few of them could remain calm. So what if your comprehension is high? If your Shin power level is not good, you are still not my opponent. Hu Ya's eyes became even colder. How is this possible? How is this possible? At this moment Situ Haonan was already in a daze. He rubbed his eyes hard and couldn't believe what he was seeing. Just now, when Situ Feng had revealed 2 divine skills, Situ Haonan had been extremely excited and had even laughed out loud, thinking that Situ Feng would definitely win. However, in the blink of an eye, Situ Feng was killed by Lu Ming. How can this kid's comprehension be so high? Kong Ji also gritted his teeth. With Lu Ming's high level of comprehension, he would definitely be valued by the Qin Heavenly 13 clans. If he was placed in an important position, the Yuan Luo Palace would be finished. Kong Long roared in his heart. He felt that the heavens were unfair. Why did he not have such a high level of comprehension? Why did he have to let an ant in his heart have such a high level of comprehension? At this moment, The eyes of the experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans all lit up. A speed-type divine skill at the 4th level and an attack-type divine skill at the 5th level. Not bad, not bad. It's actually also from the chaotic astral river. This is really unexpected. He's a good seedling. The experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans spoke one after another. Even the experts of the 3 overlord forces had expressions of interest on their faces. To be able to receive such an evaluation from the experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, the other young heavens favorites were all green with envy. Lu Ming's combat strength is too strong. I'm afraid he's only second to Yang Chong, Wuxia, and the Golden Sage. That's right. Other than these few who control divine-grade divine power, no one can defeat them. I don't know about Ling Huye's background. He seems to be unfathomable. Many young men were discussing and placing Lu Ming in the 2nd tier. The 1st tier consisted of Yang Chong, Wuxia, and the Golden Sage. In the 2nd tier were Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, and those who had won 1st place in their respective battlefields in the 1st round. Chapter 2647 Top 10 After Lu Ming defeated Situ Feng, the number of people in the fighting ring had been reduced by more than half. There were only 12 people left out of the 25. Among the 12 people, a few of them were still fighting each other. There were a few people who looked at Lu Ming warily. In addition, Yang Chong was standing with his hands behind his back. He had not made a move yet, and the others were far away from him. You're Lu Ming? You're pretty strong, so why don't we join forces and get rid of the others? At this moment, Lu Ming heard a voice. It was Yang Chong's voice. It was obvious that Yang Chong had acknowledged Lu Ming's abilities. He took the initiative to look for him to work together and eliminate the others. This way the 2 of them could enter the top 10. All right. Lu Ming agreed immediately. Upon hearing Lu Ming's reply, a cold glint flashed across Yang Chong's eyes. He stepped forward and walked toward a young man. The young man was shocked and quickly retreated. However, Yang Chong's speed suddenly increased. He appeared in front of the young man and struck out with his palm. Boom. This palm was shockingly powerful. Although the young man tried his best to block it, his body exploded when Yang Chong's palm landed. He had no way to resist. Then his body condensed on the stone platform, his face pale. It's too terrifying. Is that the power of the sacred grade divine power? This young man still had a fearful expression on his face. His divine power was a king grade divine power, and it was a rather powerful king grade divine power. However, it could not withstand a single blow from Yang Chong's saint grade divine power. It was crushed and crushed like tofu. Speed type incomplete divine skill, peak of the 4th level. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He could tell that Yang Chong had also cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill that had reached the peak of the 4th level, which was even stronger than Situ Feng's speed-type divine skill. It's my turn. Buzz. Lu Ming's figure was like a ROC as he pounced on a youth, his long spear pressing down like a mountain. The young man could not withstand the attack of Lu Ming's 5th incomplete divine skill at all. His body was shattered by the impact. Other than Lu Ming and Yang Chong, there were 8 other people in the fighting ring. Originally there were a few people fighting, but at this time they couldn't help but stop. The 2 of them want to join forces to kill us. Let's join forces. That's right. Let's work together. We're all at the 1st level of the Void D realm. No matter how strong they are, we don't need to fear them if we work together. Let's join hands. On the battle mountain, 8 young men gathered together. So what if we join forces? Get down. Yang Chong was incomparably domineering, his divine power howling as he charged at them. Lu Ming charged at the 8 people from the other side. Boom. Boom. Yang Chong's full strength was indeed astonishing. And NBSP, the divine power, was a peak stage 4 incomplete offensive divine skill, and a peak stage 4 speed divine skill. When combined, it was like a violent tide. Lu Ming did not unleash his divine power to the maximum. He cast the soul transformation technique and concealed the level of his divine power to king grade. Moreover, his cultivation was only at the D level, which was slightly weaker. However, Lu Ming's incomplete divine skill had reached the 5th level, and its power was extremely shocking. Each spear strike contained 11 bursts of power, each stronger than the last. Although the 8 young men had joined forces, they were no match for Lu Ming and Yang Chong. They were forced to retreat. The battle has been decided. Lu Ming and Yang Chong are indeed the strongest in this round. Many people shook their heads. There was no longer any suspense in this battle. Not long after, the 8 young men were blasted off the fighting ring by Lu Ming and Yang Chong, ending the battle. Lu Ming and Yang Chong were the last to stay behind. They had already secured a spot in the top 10. Brother Fa Ming, congratulations, congratulations. Seeing that Lu Ming had entered the top 10, some of the leaders of the forces in the chaotic astral river congratulated the ancestor of technique one after another, their faces full of flattery. Some of them had just been fawning over Situ Haonan, but in the blink of an eye, they had gone to fawn over the ancestor of technique. Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's faces were extremely ugly. Lu Ming had made it into the top 10. It was almost certain that he would join the 3 overlord forces. Even if Situ Feng could join the 3 overlord forces, he would not be as highly regarded as Lu Ming. How could he compete with Lu Ming? The two of them were already panicking. Lu Ming and Yang Chong locked onto the top 10 and retreated from the fighting ring. Then the next group of 25 people went on stage. This time Huya was the center of attention as well as the person who had obtained first place in a certain battle zone in the first round of the assessment. On the surface, these 2 people were the strongest. The result wasn't too surprising. After a battle, Huya and that heaven's favorite obtained a place in the top 10. Then the third group. In this group, the Golden Sage won without a doubt. In addition, there was also an extremely beautiful woman. Unexpectedly, she defeated someone who was ranked first in a certain battle region in the first round and obtained the top 10. The fourth group, Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's display of terrifying combat strength shocked everyone. The Shin power that Ling Huyi controlled was just normal Shin power. This was the only one among the existing people. However, the incomplete divine skill that he had just revealed was shocking. It was an incomplete speed-type divine skill at the peak of the 5th level. It was an attack-type incomplete divine skill and it was also at the peak of the 5th level. The combination of the two allowed him to win directly, defeating strong enemies one after another. 2 incomplete divine skills have both reached the peak of the 5th level. This level of comprehension is simply too shocking. What a terrifying comprehension. Everyone was amazed. The eyes of the experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans also lit up. To a large sect like the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, comprehension was extremely important. But what did it matter? The Qin Heavenly 13 clans had divine techniques and wondrous arts. As long as one cultivated the divine techniques and wondrous arts to an extremely high level, one's divine power level would naturally rise. As long as one's comprehension ability was heaven-defying enough, there were even divine techniques in the 3 overlord forces that could even raise divine-grade divine power. The experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans were already thinking about how to invite Ling Huyi. Of course, Lu Ming, Yang Chong, the Golden Sage and Huya were all invited. The 5th group's compet. 1. Tian also ended very quickly. The top 10 were born. However, the compet. 1. Tian had to continue. Since they were going to compete, they naturally had to determine who was stronger. Furthermore, the experts from the Qin Heaven 13 clans also wanted to see if there were any people who were still holding back. Next, the 10 of you will fight in pairs. The odds are random. Let's begin. The middle-aged man announced. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 people's bodies started to shine. One of them was Ling Huyi, and the other was the person who had won first place in the first round. The 2 of them didn't say much and directly attacked. Ling Huyi's opponent was also very strong. He had also cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills, both of which had reached the peak of stage 4. The divine power he controlled was a terrifying king-grade divine power. The 2 of them exchanged hundreds of moves, and Ling Huyi was the one who won in the end. Chapter 2648 Frightening Comprehension. It was Lu Ming's turn for the second round. Lu Ming's opponent was also someone who ranked first in a certain region in the first round. This person also controlled a terrifying king-grade divine power. He also had 2 incomplete divine skills that had been cultivated to the peak of stage 4. However, one of the incomplete divine skills that Lu Ming had displayed had reached the 5th level. Naturally, the other party was no match for him. After a fierce battle, he was blasted off the fighting ring by Lu Ming. Following that, Golden Saint Huya and Yang Chong all defeated their opponents one by one. It seemed that everything could be arranged. Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, Yang Chong, Huya and the Golden Sage did not meet. However, the remaining 5 would eventually clash. The peak confrontation is coming. Everyone revealed a look of antic. 1. P. Asian. Next, Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, Yang Chong, Golden Sage, and Huya were all going to fight. This was going to be a peak battle. Who do you think is the strongest among the 5 of them? I think the top 3 should be Golden Sage, Huya, and Yang Chong. Lu Ming is slightly stronger than Ling Huyi, and Ling Huyi is the weakest. I think so too. Although Golden Sage, Huya, and Yang Chong's comprehension of incomplete divine skills is not as good as Lu Ming and Ling Huyi's, they have mastered divine-grade divine power and are extremely powerful. That's right. It's hard to say who's stronger in the future, but for now Lu Ming and Ling Huyi are at a disadvantage in terms of divine power. I'm afraid they're not Yang Chong, Golden Sage, and Huya's match. Many people were discussing who would win. Most of them believed that Golden Saint, Huya, and Yang Chong would be the top 3. Lu Ming and Ling Huyi found it difficult to fight against the 3 of them. It's hard to say. What if Ling Huyi and Lu Ming are still holding back? Suddenly a voice was heard. You're holding back? You're saying that the incomplete divine skill they comprehended is even more advanced? Not bad. That shouldn't be possible. It's already shocking enough to comprehend an incomplete divine skill to this extent in just 3 years. There aren't many in history who can do this. That's right. I think they've already done their best. Most of the people shook their heads in objection. They felt that Lu Ming and Ling Huyi would not hold back. Alright, let's begin the final battle. There are 5 of you left, so I'll randomly pick one person to pass. The other 4 will fight each other. The middle-aged man in the sky spoke again. Then he waved his hand and the jade talisman above the Golden Saint's head lit up. For this round, the Golden Sage will be free to fight. The other 4 can choose their opponents at will. The middle-aged man said. The compet. 1. Tie-in this time around was merely a test for the Qin Heaven 13 clans to recruit disciples. With the experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans here to observe, there was no need to be so fair. The rules were more casual. As long as they displayed their strength, the experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans would be able to see who was stronger and who had more potential. I'll go first. Yang Chong was the first to leap onto the fighting ring. His gaze swept across Lu Ming, Huya, and Ling Huyi before finally landing on Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi, you have a high level of comprehension, but your divine power is too weak. Fight with me. I want to see if you still have any hidden strength. Yang Chong said. As you wish. Ling Huyi stepped into the air and a long sword appeared in his hand. Boom. Without saying anything else, Yang Chong immediately attacked. His entire body was suffused with scarlet divine power, making him look like a god of the sun. And NBSP, the violent divine power, combined with the peak 4th level speed type divine skill, made his speed reach an extreme. He crossed the battle stage in an instant and approached Ling Huyi. The violent palm force poured down on Ling Huyi like an avalanche. The incomplete offensive divine skill that Yang Chong had chosen complemented his divine power. It was scorching hot and powerful. Buzz. The sound of a sword rang out and sword chi soared into the sky. Ling Huyi slashed out more than 10 times in a row, and each sword light cut into Yang Chong's palm energy. However, the sword lights trembled and were crushed by Yang Chong's palm energy. The terrifying palm energy suddenly burst out and rushed toward Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's body was as light as a feather. He drifted backward until he reached the edge of the fighting ring to avoid Yang Chong's palm energy. Ling Huyi is no match for him. Someone exclaimed. Ling Huyi's Shin power is too low. Normal Shin power, no matter how strong it is or how powerful it is, can't compete with sacred grade Shin power. Indeed, even if his incomplete Shin technique is more profound, it is not much, so it is still useless. I told you he should be the weakest among the 5. Many people were discussing. Ling Huyi, if that's all you've got, then let's end this. Let's go. Yang Chong said as he rushed towards Ling Huyi like a fiery meteor. A fiery red palm print, 10 meters in length and width, was sent towards Ling Huyi. However, Ling Huyi's face was still calm and he didn't panic at all. He raised the long sword in his hand, and the long sword began to vibrate at a strange frequency. Whoosh. Then Ling Huyi suddenly slashed out with his sword. A beam of sword light burst out and collided with Yang Chong's palm energy. Boom. A terrifying explosion reverberated in all directions. Yang Chong's palm force was actually blocked and kept shaking. What was even more shocking was that everyone saw Yang Chong's palm energy being cut apart by Ling Huyi's sword light. Bang. In the end, Yang Chong's palm energy was split into two, and Ling Huye's sword light also dispersed. It was blocked. Everyone was shocked. Ling Huyi had actually blocked Yang Chong's palm energy. And NBSP Yang Chong's divine power was a sacred divine power, and a palm that combined it with an incomplete fourth-level divine skill was shockingly powerful, but Ling Huyi had used ordinary divine power to block Yang Chong's palm. How was this possible? The sixth level. This is the sixth level of an incomplete divine skill. Someone shouted in disbelief. My G.O.D. Ling Huyi has already cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the sixth level. How is this possible? Many people exclaimed in disbelief. One had to know that Yang Chong, the Golden Saint, and Huya, who were all geniuses with divine-grade divine power, had only cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the peak of the fourth level. It had only been 3 short years since he had reached the sixth level. This level of comprehension was too terrifying. The sixth level. The eyes of the experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans all lit up as they stared at Ling Huyi. This kind of terrifying comprehension ability, they were determined to have it. I didn't expect that you've already cultivated an offensive incomplete divine skill to the sixth level. Yang Chong's eyes were also solemn. The incomplete sixth level of the divine skill could already be a direct match for him. However, you will still lose. And NBC. Yang Chong roared, his divine power bursting forth as his burly body charged at Ling Huyi. His palms continued to strike out at Ling Huyi. Chapter 2649. Killing Huyi. Yang Chong had pushed his strength to the extreme. His palm force whistled and swept across the entire fighting ring. However, just as his palm was about to land, he lost track of Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi had been standing at the edge of the fighting ring, but he suddenly appeared behind Yang Chong. What an amazing speed! Many people were shocked again. Whoosh, whoosh. Ling Huyi's long sword whistled as it slashed toward Yang Chong. Yang Chong's pupils rapidly contracted, and his divine power surged as he set up layers of defense around his body. At the same time, he suddenly turned around and waved his palm. The power of his palm collided with Ling Huyi's sword light, and then he took the opportunity to attack Ling Huyi. However, Ling Huyi's body moved again, moving away from Yang Chong and appearing on his left. So fast, so fast. This speed is too shocking. The sixth level. The sixth level of a speed-type divine skill. Someone exclaimed again. What? Everyone was shocked. Speed-type divine skill level 6. How was it possible that Ling Huyi had also cultivated his speed-type skill to the sixth level? In just 3 years he had cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills to the sixth level. This level of comprehension could no longer be described as abnormal. He's managed to train 2 divine-level experts to the 6th tier. Impressive. Even Lu Ming could not help but sigh. He had never imagined that there would be someone like him who had managed to cultivate 2 incomplete divine skills to the 6th level in just 3 years. There were indeed countless prodigies in the primeval universe, and the heaven realm and the primordial realm couldn't compare. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm he was definitely the first person in all of history. No one could compare to him. Even the ancestor of technique who had created the system of laws was far from his level. His talent was also unparalleled. However, after coming to the desolate universe he had met someone who could compare with him. At least, in terms of comprehension, Ling Huyi was not weaker than him. And this was only after the Qin Heavenly 13 clans recruited disciples once every 1,000 years. How many abnormal geniuses had been born in these countless years? Interesting, this is what makes it interesting. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he was looking forward to it. This was the world he had been looking forward to. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm he had long been unrivaled among his peers. However, in the primal universe he was still nothing. However, it was only with an opponent that one would have passion and motivation. What a good fellow. The experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans also heaved a long sigh of relief. Their eyes were filled with greed. With such perverted comprehension, if he cultivated the wondrous techniques of their sect, he would definitely be able to rise in time. What kind of freak is this? At this moment, Yang Chong himself was also extremely shocked. He tried his best but he couldn't hit Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's speed was much faster than his, and with the addition of the 6th level of the offensive divine skill, the power was shocking. The two of them exchanged blows continuously, but Yang Chong was at a disadvantage. The main thing was that he couldn't hit Ling Huyi, but Ling Huyi could hit him. Just like that, the two of them exchanged hundreds of moves. In the end, Ling Huyi won and defeated Yang Chong. Ling Huyi won. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. I was wrong. It seems that Ling Huyi has a chance to win first place. However, Golden Sage is not like Yang Chong. Golden Sage's defense is amazing and he can restrain Ling Huyi. That's right. Seems like Lu Ming is the weakest among the five of them. Indeed. Ling Huyi's defeat of Yang Chong was indeed beyond everyone's expectations. Ling Huyi's face was calm as he retreated from the fighting ring. Boom. As soon as Ling Huyi left, a figure rushed down the fighting ring and stomped heavily on it, making the fighting ring roar. Lu Ming, get down here and die. Huyi's eyes were like lightning as he swept his gaze over Lu Ming, his voice reverberating throughout the entire area. Lu Ming took a step forward and landed on the fighting ring, facing Huyi. I've said it before, if you touch me, it'll make you die an ugly death. Huyi's voice was cold and he revealed a sinister expression. Previously, the other members of your tiger clan also said the same thing to me. In the end, when I made my move, I realized that they were all trash. In my opinion, you are no exception. Lu Ming said indifferently. This kid. You're looking for death. He doesn't know what's good for him. If my cultivation wasn't suppressed, I could have killed him with a flip of my hand. Upon hearing Lu Ming's words, some of the young men from the tiger clan were so angry that they almost vomited blood. They looked at Lu Ming with killing intent. This Lu Ming is really arrogant. From what he's saying, he's implying that Huyi is trash. Indeed, he's crazy enough. However, if he talks too fast, I'm afraid he'll have to face a storm of attacks from Huyi. Some people were discussing. As expected, a cold killing intent burst out from Huyi's eyes. Roar. He let out a long howl like a giant tiger. The muscles on his body swelled up and a terrifying divine-grade power burst forth. He stomped his feet and charged at Lu Ming. Qila. Huyi's fingers turned into claws and he struck out with both claws, trying to tear Lu Ming apart. Lu Ming used his ruler's divine power to form a long spear. He thrust it out several times and stabbed Huyi's claws. The two of them collided more than a dozen times in a row, and their figures retreated at the same time. Huyi had cultivated two incomplete divine skills, one speed type and one attack type, both at the peak of the 4th stage. Together with his saint-grade divine power, his combat strength was not weaker than Yang Chong's. Roar. The tiger's teeth roared and it launched a storm of attacks at Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming with his speed and then tear Lu Ming apart with his violent attacks. Lu Ming kept waving his spear to block, but he was at a slight disadvantage. After all, Lu Ming's current divine power was only displaying the power of a king-grade divine power. Lu Ming is indeed no match for Huyi. That's right. Lu Ming's divine power is king-grade divine power, and it's an extremely powerful king-grade divine power. Moreover, his offensive divine skill has been cultivated to the peak of the 5th stage. In terms of offensive power, he's not much weaker than Huyi. However, his speed-type divine skill is the same as Huyi at the peak of the 4th stage. However, his divine power is not as strong as Huyi's, so he's destined to be suppressed. Not bad. In terms of overall ability, Lu Ming is still weaker. Some people were watching while discussing. Competing in speed? Then I'll let you experience what speed is. At this moment, Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. In the next moment, Lu Ming's figure burst into the sky like a golden-winged ROC, soaring through the 9 heavens. Buzz. Buzz. Lu Ming's figure and spear shadows filled the sky. At this moment, countless spear shadows pierced towards Huyi from all directions. This speed. Huyi's heart trembled as he tried his best to block it. However, he realized that there were too many spear shadows coming from all directions. It was impossible to block all of them. Block Kit, die. Huyi roared as he used his divine power to form a divine power barrier around his body. Boom. 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 Lu Ming's spear's gleam continuously stabbed Huyi's divine power protective shield. The rain shield shook wildly. After 100 consecutive strikes, the protective shield exploded with a loud bang. Huyi let out a blood-curdling screech as his body was pierced through by Lu Ming's spear and he died on the spot. Chapter 2650 Final battle. After Huyi was killed, he condensed on a stone platform. His face was extremely gloomy as he stared at Lu Ming. His killing intent was even stronger than before. One said, "You're the same as the tiger men from before. You're all trash." Lu Ming cast a disdainful look at Hu Ya. He gritted his teeth and glared at Lu Ming, his killing intent growing stronger. Lu Ming, I'm going to kill you. My cultivation is suppressed here. Otherwise one could kill you with one finger. Hu Ya roared in his heart. Indeed, Lu Ming only had a demigod cultivation base. In his eyes, Lu Ming was just an ant. As a heaven's favorite of the Tigerman tribe that only appeared once every 100,000 years, his actual cultivation had already reached the 9th level of the Void God realm and was not far from the true God realm. With such a cultivation level and his divine grade divine power, he would not be afraid even if he encountered a true God level, let alone Lu Ming. It was just that he couldn't display it here. Hu Ya, he actually lost? And he lost so easily? At this moment, everyone watching the battle was a little confused. They only saw Lu Ming's speed suddenly increase. In the blink of an eye, he had launched many attacks and defeated Hu Ya in one fell swoop. That speed is too shocking. Lu Ming was actually hiding his strength. What level is that incomplete speed-type divine skill? One feel like I've grown a lot. Is the 5th level really that powerful? Don't tell me it's the 6th level. Towards the end, many people felt that it was unbelievable. An incomplete speed-type divine skill at the 6th level. Good. At this moment, an expert from the unique Devil Academy spoke, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. Heavens, it really is the 6th level. Lu Ming actually has an incomplete divine skill and has comprehended it to the 6th level. His level of comprehension is not much worse than Ling Hu Yes. In that case, Lu Ming's abilities are above Ling Hu Yes. Doesn't that mean that he's aiming for the first place? It's hard to say. Although he's fast, his attack power is similar to Hu Yas. I'm afraid he can't break through the defense of a golden saint. This is also shocking enough. There are too many heaven's favorites with terrifying comprehension ability this time. Moreover, he's from the chaotic astral river. Many people were shocked. This level of comprehension. The people of the chaotic astral river were all dumbfounded. The pavilion master of Yunfeng Pavilion was ecstatic. The stronger the genius of the chaotic astral river is, the more rewards he will receive. Only Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's faces were extremely ugly. There was killing intent in their eyes but also fear. Ha ha ha. The ancestor of technique was naturally ecstatic. On the stone platform, Ling Hu Yi and the Golden Sage looked at Lu Ming with a serious expression. Lu Ming retreated to the fighting ring. Now only Lu Ming, Ling Hu Yi and the Golden Sage were left. There's only the 3 of you left. The 13 clans have already seen your strength, so there's no need for you to continue fighting. However, one believe many of you are curious about who is stronger. How about this? The 3 of you will take turns to fight and see who is stronger. Golden Sage, Ling Hu Yi, you two will fight first. The burly man in the air said. The Golden Saint and Ling Hu Yi nodded and appeared on the fighting ring. Come on. Golden Sage's eyes glowed with golden light. Boom. His divine power was boiling. At the same time his muscles bulged. His body changed color and had a metallic luster. The most shocking thing was that a layer of armor appeared on the surface of his body. This armor was formed by combining divine power with a defensive divine skill. It was like an armor made of diamond and gave off an indestructible feeling. The Vajra race specialized in defense. Their defensive power was even stronger than the Turtle Shell clan. Kill. The Golden Sage roared and rushed towards Ling Hu Yi. Buzz. Buzz. Ling Hu Yi moved his body and easily dodged the attack of the Golden Sage. Ling Hu Yi's incomplete speed-type divine skill had been cultivated to the 6th level, while the Golden Sage had not cultivated any speed-type divine skill at all. In terms of speed, he was much slower than Ling Hu Yi and could not attack him at all. The Golden Sage stopped his attack after his first attack failed. Whoosh. The Golden Sage did not attack, but Ling Hu Yi made his move. His body was like lightning as he charged towards the Golden Sage. In an instant, hundreds of sword lights stabbed towards the Golden Sage. Ding, 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 ding. The sound of collision was heard. In an instant, Ling Hu Yi had sent hundreds of sword lights to stab the Golden Saint. However, they could not break through the Golden Saint's defense and were completely blocked. Ling Hu Yi, this is not enough. Not enough. The Golden Sage grinned. Whoosh, whoosh. Ling Hu Yi didn't say a word and continued to attack. Dense sword light appeared in the sky and kept stabbing towards the Golden Saint. However, it was still useless. The sword light stopped and the Golden Sage was unharmed. Ah, Ling Huyi, you're just scratching my itch. The golden sage laughed. Ling Huyi retreated with a gloomy face and stopped attacking. It seems like this match will end in a draw. That's right. Ling Huyi's comprehension is unparalleled. It's a pity that his divine power is a little weak. If he had king-grade divine power, he might be able to break through the defense of a golden saint. That's right. Based on the current situation, the battle between Lu Ming and the golden sage should be a draw. It's difficult to determine a winner between the three of them. Indeed. Many people sighed. It wasn't that Ling Huyi wasn't strong, but that the golden saint's defensive power was too abnormal. Moreover, what he cultivated was also an incomplete defensive divine skill. However, speed was a golden saint's weakness. He could not catch up with Ling Huyi, so this battle could only be considered a draw. Alright, this round is a draw. Take a break and move on to the next round, the holy battle of the golden saints, Lu Ming. The middle-aged man announced. Ling Huyi left, and the golden saint sat cross-legged on the battle platform, absorbing the energy of the divine crystals to recover his divine power. Not long after, the golden sage stood up. Alright, I'm done. The golden sage said. Lu Ming, you can go up. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and stepped into the fighting ring. Lu Ming, you can't break through my defense. At most, this battle will be a draw. The golden sage said. How would you know if you didn't fight? Lu Ming smiled faintly. If you don't want to give up, then let's fight. Die. Golden Saint coldly shouted as he unleashed his divine power and used a defensive divine skill, creating a diamond-like armor that covered his body. Buzz. Lu Ming rushed out and swept his spear across. Break. The golden sage threw a punch at Lu Ming's long spear. However, Lu Ming's figure moved and appeared behind the golden sage. He struck the golden sage's body with his spear and 11 levels of power burst out in an instant. Boom. Boom. The golden sage's body trembled a few times, but he managed to withstand it. Whoosh. Whoosh. Lu Ming's strength changed and he continued to stab. The tip of the spear hit the golden sage's body and made a tinkling sound. However, it was still blocked by the golden sage and it was difficult to break through. Chapter 2651. Who's the strongest? Ah, Lu Ming, I've said it before. So what if you're fast? You can't break my defense. The golden sage laughed. Lu Ming really can't break the defense of the golden sage. The difference in strength isn't that great. Golden sage is an undefeatable existence. His defensive power is too shocking. Many people sighed, thinking that this round was going to be a draw again. Golden Saint, your defensive power is indeed amazing, but how do you know that this is my strongest combat power? At this moment, Lu Ming's calm voice was heard. What? The golden sage was stunned. Let's see if you can block this spear of mine. Lu Ming stepped back and suddenly rushed towards the golden sage. His long spear shook and turned into more than 10 spear lights, stabbing towards the golden sage. However, just as his spear radiance was about to hit the golden sage, more than a dozen spear radiances merged together and turned into a spear radiance that stabbed toward the golden sage. An ear-piercing sound rang out. It was as if a layer of leather had been pierced. Then he heard the golden saint's roar. His body flew far away and fell to the ground. That's... Everyone's pupils contracted. The defense of the golden sage had been broken. There was a hole in the golden sage's heart. It was pierced through from the front to the back by Lu Ming. The 6th level. Your incomplete divine skill has already been cultivated to the 6th level. The golden sage struggled to get up and shouted in disbelief. The 6th level. Everyone's heart trembled and their faces were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had also cultivated the incomplete attack-type divine skill to the 6th level. Both his speed-type and offensive-type divine skills had been cultivated to the 6th level, the same as Ling Huyi. This was heaven-defying. This time there were actually 2 such heaven-defying characters. One had to know that the further one cultivated an incomplete divine skill, the more difficult it would be to cultivate and the more powerful it would be. For example, Golden Saint Yang Chong and Huya were all existences who could control divine-grade divine power. To be able to control divine-grade divine power, one's comprehension ability was definitely not bad. However, they had only cultivated it to the peak of the 4th heaven, which was far from the 6th heaven. Many found it hard to believe, but they knew that it was the truth. Otherwise, it would not have been able to break through the defense of the golden sage. Ling Huyi could not break it because his divine power level was too low. However, Lu Ming's divine power level was not low. Amazing, amazing! What terrifying comprehension! His future achievements will be limitless. Many people exclaimed. Our indestructible sword sect will definitely want this kind of person. An expert from the indestructible sword sect suddenly spoke. You're determined to not destroy the sword sect? Laughable. My unique Devil Academy wants this kid. In my opinion, the Boundless Sacred Academy is more suitable for him. At this moment, the cultivators of the three overlord forces all spoke. These experts were no small matter. They had seen something unusual. They felt that Lu Ming had not used his full strength. Although Lu Ming had used the soul transformation technique to conceal the characteristics and levels of the ruler's divine power, such an expert had sharp eyes. They could vaguely sense that Lu Ming's divine power was unfathomable and high above. Therefore they spoke up one after another. Many people were at a loss for words and some young men were extremely envious. The assessment had not even ended yet, and the three overlord forces had already started as people. Other people could not join the three overlord forces even if they wanted to. However, Lu Ming had become a popular person. He could choose from the three overlord forces. This kind of treatment was really different. It was no wonder that he was envious. Freak. I never thought that there would be such a freak in my chaotic astral river. Brother F, congratulations. Brother F, please forgive me if I've been inconsiderate in the past. In the chaotic astral river, some of the leaders of the forces had already begun to fawn over Fa Ming. In particular, some of the leaders of the forces who had a grudge against the ancestor of technique were even smiling obsequiously and flattering him. What a joke. It was a sure thing that Lu Ming would join the three overlord forces. He would also be valued. The influence of the righteous army would definitely rise. As for Kong Ji and Situ Haonan, both of their eyes revealed a look of fear. Many thoughts turned in their hearts and they already started to think about what to do next. Do you still want to fight? Lu Ming's gaze shifted to King Kong. I'm not fighting anymore. Since you've broken through my defense, I admit defeat. Jin Gang shook his head and returned to the stone platform. Lu Ming had won this battle. Now there was still the final battle, which was Lu Ming against Ling Huyi. Lu Ming, do you need to rest? The middle-aged man asked. I don't need to. Lu Ming shook his head. All right. The middle-aged man nodded and looked at Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi, do you still want to fight? The reason why he asked this was that, judging from the strength on the surface, Ling Huyi was not Lu Ming's match. The incomplete divine skills that the two of them had comprehended were similar, but Lu Ming's cultivation level was slightly weaker. He was at the demi-G. D level. However, Lu Ming's divine power level was much higher than Ling Huyi's. His overall ability was still higher than Ling Huyi's. Fight. Ling Huyi's answer was simple and he jumped into the fighting ring. Ling Huyi actually accepted the challenge. I'm afraid he can't match Lu Ming. Some people were discussing. He couldn't use divine artifacts in the Dream S. He couldn't use some secret techniques either. In a situation where he was weaker on the surface, he could only rely on his battle techniques and consciousness. If Ling Huyi wanted to win, he had to be far superior to Lu Ming in terms of combat awareness and combat skills. However, that was obviously impossible. Buzz. The two of them moved at the same time and an intense battle began. Ling Huyi's combat skills and combat awareness were very strong. They were astonishingly strong. However, Lu Ming was not inferior at all. He was even stronger than Ling Huyi. There was no suspense in this battle. After more than 10 moves, Ling Huyi was hit by Lu Ming and retreated while vomiting blood. You've lost. Lu Ming said indifferently. Lu Ming, I lost today because my divine power level is not high enough. If my divine power level was high enough, I would not have lost. Ling Huyi's face was dark. This time he had thought that he could sweep away all the heroes and take the first place. He did not expect to be defeated by Lu Ming. He was a little unwilling. Even though this was only a test, he would not allow himself to lose. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not say anything. Lu Ming, how about we fight again 1,000 years later? Ling Huyi continued to issue a challenge. I'll accompany you any time. Lu Ming said. Alright, after 1,000 years, we'll fight and I'll definitely defeat you. Ling Huyi was full of confidence. As long as he obtained the divine skill, the level of his divine power would continue to rise. He might even cultivate to the peak and condense divine-grade divine power. All right, the assessment is over. The middle-aged man announced in the air. Many people's hearts trembled. The main event was about to begin. The examination had ended. Now it was time to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. Many of the youths couldn't help but feel nervous. Chapter 2652 Rejecting the three overlords, especially those who had been eliminated in the first round, they were even more nervous. In theory they had the chance to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans, but it would depend on luck. If you're unlucky you won't be able to join. How could they not be nervous when this concerned their future? Lu Ming, the inextinguishable sword sect, sincerely invites you to join us. Lu Ming, the unique demon academy welcomes you. The boundless Holy Land welcomes you. The powerhouses from the three overlord forces extended their invitations to Lu Ming one after another. Although the top 10 sects were also very tempted, they sighed and didn't say anything when they saw the three overlords extending their invitations. They understood that since the three overlord forces had spoken, there was no more hope for them. It would be useless even if they spoke. Everyone's eyes were on Lu Ming. They were all guessing which overlord force Lu Ming would choose to join. However, Lu Ming frowned slightly. Since he had already promised the ancestor of technique that he would join the Xian sect, he would not change his mind. Moreover, the Xian sect was ranked first among the top 10 sections. Even if it was not as good as the three overlords, it was not too far behind. He actually didn't choose? He's probably hesitating about which of the three overlords to choose. If it were me, I'd also be hesitating. You can stop dreaming. Most people thought that Lu Ming was at a loss as to which overlord force to choose. Lu Ming, as long as you join the indestructible sword sect with your talent, I'm sure some big shot will take you in as a disciple. You'll have to consider it carefully. The expert from the eternal sword sect spoke again. Nonsense, isn't it normal for such a talent to be noticed by a strong person? Lu Ming, I can see that your fighting style is very similar to that of our unique Devil Academy. Joining our unique Devil Academy is your best choice. Pfft. Your unique Demon Academy is really shameless. How could you say that our fighting styles are similar? Lu Ming, the boundless Holy Land is your best choice. The compet. 1. Tian had started to escalate. The experts of the three overlord forces had already started to curse. Seniors. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly opened his mouth and cupped his fists at the powerhouses from the three overlord forces. Lu Ming is grateful for everyone's love. However, I'm afraid that he can't join the Immortal Sword Sect, the unique Demon Academy, or the boundless Holy Land. What? As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked and the scene was silent. Lu Ming had actually rejected the invitations of the three overlord forces at the same time? Was he crazy? The three overlord forces were the strongest in the Qin Heaven Star Zone, with the exception of a few ancient clans. Many people had tried their best to squeeze in but could not. Lu Ming had actually rejected them? Most of the people were shocked. As for Kongji and Situ Haonan, they were ecstatic. Ah, this kid, to think that he's so talented. Turns out he's just an idiot. He actually rejected the three overlord forces. Idiot, what an idiot. Not only will he not be able to join the three overlord forces, but he will also offend the experts of the three overlord forces. Kongji and Situ Haonan laughed madly in their hearts. They were simply overjoyed. Am I right or wrong? The ancestor of technique sighed in his heart. He was filled with guilt toward Lu Ming. If it were not for his request, Lu Ming would most likely choose to join the three overlord forces. As expected, the experts of the three overlord forces all revealed unhappy expressions. Lu Ming, you'd better consider it carefully. That's right, think carefully before you speak. The cultivators from the three overlord forces spoke one after another. Seniors, Lu Ming can only thank everyone for their love. Lu Ming cupped his fists and refused again. The faces of the experts from the three overlord forces darkened. Humph, you don't know your place. You're so stubborn. Displeased voices came from the experts of the three overlords. If Lu Ming had chosen one of the three overlord forces, it would have been fine. Now that Lu Ming and the other two had rejected him together, they were embarrassed. The experts of the top 10 sects were ecstatic. That was because they had a chance. Lu Ming, the Xian sect sincerely invites you to join us. My multi-story building sect welcomes you. my Flying Snow sect is sincerely inviting you. The top 10 sects all invited Lu Ming to join them. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the powerhouses from the top 10 sects and finally landed on the powerhouses from the Xian sect. Am Lu Ming and am willing to join the Xian sect. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. He's joined the Xian sect. Someone shouted. But more people were puzzled. Why did Lu Ming choose to join the Xian sect instead of the 3 chiefs? Although the Xian sect was ranked first among the top 10 sects, it was still not as good as the 3 overlords. Instead of the 3 overlord forces, he chose the Xian sect? Perhaps he's an old friend of the Xian sect. Many people guessed this. The powerhouses of Xian sect were overjoyed. They did not expect that Lu Ming would choose the Xian sect in the end. Good, come here. The powerhouses from Xian sect nodded repeatedly and were overjoyed. Senior, I have a request. A few of my friends would like to join the Xian sect. Please fulfill my request. Lu Ming said. Friends, no problem. Who are you? The powerhouse from the Xian sect said. Lu Ming's gaze landed on Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Tong Shi. Xian Yanqing stepped forward and stood beside Lu Ming. Junior is willing to join the Xian sect. Xian Yanqing said. Xian Yanjin's eyes flickered as he stepped forward and came to Lu Ming's side. However, he did not say anything. All right, sure, of course. The powerhouse from Xian sect nodded. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's performance just now was also very good, so he naturally wouldn't disagree. Lu Ming, I would like to join the Golden Pool sect, one of the top 10 sections. The divine power I cultivate is more suitable for the Golden Pool sect. At this moment, Tong Shi sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. He naturally respected Tong Shi's choice. After that, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan arrived at the Xian sect's district. Ling Hu Yi, the inextinguishable sword sect, would like to invite you to join us. My unique Devil Academy, the boundless Holy Land. Then the 3 overlord forces started to invite Ling Hu Yi. Ling Hu Yi's comprehension was also very high. Although his divine power was still weak, he was still very important to them and they all sent out invitations. He'll join the Eternal Sword sect. Ling Hu Yi spoke, choosing the inextinguishable sword sect. The experts of the inextinguishable sword sect were overjoyed. All right. As long as you cultivate well, I guarantee that you'll be able to trample Lu Ming under your feet in 1,000 years. The expert from the inextinguishable sword sect said, casting Lu Ming an unhappy glance. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not say a word. It's too early to say that now. The powerhouse from the Xian sect replied coldly. Now that Lu Ming was a member of the Xian sect, it was only natural that the powerhouses of the Xian sect would protect him. Moreover, although the Xian sect was not as powerful as the Immortal Sword sect, they were not afraid. Chapter 2653 Xian Planet. The atmosphere between the powerhouses from the indestructible sword sect and the Xian sect was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Humph. In the end, the expert from the indestructible sword sect waved his sleeve and snorted coldly, not saying anything. Following that, the 3 overlord forces and the top 10 sects began to invite Yangchong, Huya and Golden Sage. In the end, the Golden Sage joined the Eternal Sword sect. Huya had joined the unique Devil Academy. Yangchong had joined the boundless Holy Land. Of course, the Xian sect and the Eternal Sword sect had the greatest gains this time. The Xian sect had Lu Ming, while the inextinguishable sword sect had Ling Hu Yi and the Golden Sage. After the few at the peak were invited, the Qin Heaven 13 clans started to invite the geniuses that had performed well before. One by one, the geniuses joined the Qin Heavenly 13 clans. Of course, most of them joined the 3 overlord forces, but there were also some who joined the top 10 sects because they were suitable. Not everyone was suitable to join the 3 overlord forces. Situ Feng, my unique Devil Academy invites you to join us. At this moment, the expert from the unique Demon Academy looked at Situ Feng. Situ Feng's comprehension was also extremely high, and he was chosen by the experts of the unique Demon Academy. Situ Feng was overjoyed. This junior is willing to join the unique Devil Academy. Situ Feng quickly bowed and said, N. The expert from the unique Devil Academy nodded. Senior, I wish to bring a few people to join the unique Devil Academy with me. Is that all right? Situ Feng asked carefully. Who are they? The expert from the unique Devil Academy asked. Situ Feng immediately told him about Kong Long and Situ Xiaolai, including their ranking in the first round. Alright, sure. The expert from the Unique Devil Academy considered for a moment and nodded. We have joined the Unique Devil Academy. We have joined the Unique Devil Academy. Outside the Dream-S. Under the big screen, Kong Long and Situ Xiao naturally saw it. They were so excited that they were about to explode. Ha, good. Situ Haonan and Kong Ji were also overjoyed. They only felt refreshed and their mood was at ease. This way they would not be afraid of the righteous army. Lu Ming had actually chosen the Kong Xian sect. The Kong Xian sect was only a top sect. As for Situ Feng, he had joined the Overlord Force, the Unique Demon Academy. Although Lu Ming was highly valued by Kong Xian sect, Situ Feng had become a disciple of the Unique Demon Academy and did not need to be afraid of Lu Ming. As for the free and unfettered sect in the Yuan Luo Palace, they wouldn't need to fear the righteous army anymore. Sure enough, the eyes of some of the leaders of the forces in the chaotic astral river also flickered. They were considering their attitude toward the righteous army, the Yuan Luo Palace and the unfettered sect. Although Lu Ming would be valued by the Kong Xian sect. However, Kong Xian sect was only a top sect, while the Yimo Academy was the Overlord Force. It was hard to tell who was stronger between Lu Ming and Situ Feng. Let's not get involved in the battle between the two sides for now. The masters of many forces in the chaotic astral river think this way. However, after some of the top geniuses were chosen, the Qin Heaven 13 clans no longer took the initiative to invite people. In the first round, those who were ranked in the top 100 in their respective battlefields were free to choose a sect. As long as the sect agreed, they could just register and it would be done. One by one, the youths began to choose the Qin Heaven 13 clans and register their information. A day later, all 1999 people who entered the second round had joined the Qin Heaven 13 clans. As for those who are eliminated in the first round in the next few days, if anyone is chosen by the Qin Heaven 13 clans, we will naturally send someone to inform you. If there is no news after 7 days, it means that they have not been selected. The middle-aged man announced. Many people sighed and could only wait for the news nervously. If you have anything to do, get it done within 7 days. 7 days later, gather at the Kong Xian sect's base in Wanling City, and it'll bring you to their headquarters. The powerhouse from Kong Xian sect said. Lu Ming and the rest nodded. Then everyone left the Dream-S. He and the screen above Wanling City disappeared. In the next 7 days, Wanling City was bustling with activity. Some people were celebrating while others were waiting anxiously. Lu Ming and the rest met up with the ancestor of technique and celebrated with each other. Tong Shi-er had also successfully joined the Golden Pool sect. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Said. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan arrived at the base of the Kong Xian sect in the city of Wanling. Myriad Spirit Planet was the largest commercial planet in the Qin Heaven Star Zone. The Qin Heaven 13 clans all had shops on Myriad Spirit Planet and even caravans, so they naturally had bases. Lu Ming and the others gathered in a huge mansion. Other than Lu Ming in the group, there were some other people. The total number was about 150 people. This was the total number of disciples that the Kong Xian sect had recruited this time. In the vast Qin Heaven galaxy, more than 1 million geniuses were selected. In the end, the Kong Xian sect only selected 150 people. This probability could be said to be very low. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, many eyes turned to them. Lu Ming and the other two were very eye-catching. Lu Ming's talent was amazing and he came in first in the assessment. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan were both beautiful and looked almost identical. It was hard not to attract attention when the three of them stood together. Most of the people looked at Lu Ming with admiration, but some of them had a strong fighting spirit. After all, his cultivation base had been suppressed during the assessment. Many of them actually had very high cultivation levels, far above Lu Ming's. They had powerful combat abilities, but they still looked down on and were hostile to Lu Ming, who had not become Brother Lu. A young man smiled and greeted Lu Ming. Brother Deng. Lu Ming also smiled. This young man was the person who had fought against Lu Ming in the 20th zone in the first round of the assessment, Deng Yu. Back then, when he lost to Lu Ming, he was convinced of his defeat and had no hostility toward Lu Ming. Later on, when he saw Lu Ming coming in first in the A assessment, he was even more impressed. It was obvious that Deng Yu had also joined the Kong Xian sect. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. At this moment, several figures flashed and appeared. The person in the lead was the powerhouse from the Kong Xian sect. He had been in charge of the Kong Xian sect's disciple recruitment this time. Let me introduce myself. I'm Huoquan, an outer sect elder of the Kong Xian sect. Now follow me, I'll bring you to the headquarters of the Kong Xian sect. The elder said. Huoquan made a brief introduction and then led Lu Ming and the rest to a teleportation array. The Kong Xian sect was one of the Qin Tian 13 sects and was ranked first among the top 10 sections. It was extremely powerful and the territory it occupied was vast. The Kong Xian sect occupied dozens of galaxies and countless vital planets. The headquarters of the Kong Xian sect was called the Kong Xian planet. The Kong Xian planet was a huge life planet. Around it there were 8 other huge planets. Chapter 2654 Outer Sect Myriad Spirit Planet was very far away from planet Kong Xian. Even though they had been using the teleportation formation, it took them a month to reach one of the planets near planet Kong Xian. The teleportation formation couldn't teleport directly to the Kong Xian planet. It could only teleport to the planets around the Kong Xian planet. They stood on this planet and looked into the S.V. They could see a huge star slowly rotating in the void. That was planet Kong Xian. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. On this planet, beams of light shot up into the sky and flew toward planet Kong Xian. A starship. All of them were starships. At first glance, most of the rainbow lights were starships, rushing into S.V. and flying toward planet Kong Xian. At a glance, there were at least a few thousand starships. This scene was shocking. As expected of the Kong Xian sect. Lu Ming sighed. He could not calm down. Chaotic Astral River's righteous army was indeed incomparable to the Kong Xian sect. The difference was too great. The righteous army only had a dozen or so interplanetary warships, and they were all of the lowest grade. But here at a glance there were thousands of them. There was no comparison at all. The righteous heavenly army was like a remote village, while planet Kong Xian was like an international metropolis. Huoquan took out an interstellar battleship. The interstellar battleship expanded rapidly and floated in the air. Let's get into the starship, Huoquan said. After everyone had entered, Huoquan took control of the starship and flew towards planet Kong Xian. This interplanetary warship was of a higher grade and much faster than the ones of the righteous army. From the inside, one could see that the Kong Xian planet was slowly growing larger, until it finally covered the sky and blocked everyone's vision. After passing through the atmosphere of Kong Xian planet, everyone got out of the starship. Under Huoquan's lead, they flew in one direction and soon came to a huge mountain. This mountain range stretched on endlessly and was incomparably huge. One could see that there were all sorts of buildings built on it. From time to time there would be people flying in the air. This is the outer court district of the Kong Xian sect. All the disciples who have just joined are considered outer court disciples of the Kong Xian sect. Only when you break through to the true G.O.D. stage can you enter the inner sect area and become an inner sect disciple of the Kong Xian sect. You'll be able to enjoy all kinds of benefits, Huoquan said. Everyone nodded. In fact, most of the sects had similar rules. The hierarchy was strict, and it was also to stimulate the disciples to cultivate hard. Of course, if you want to become an inner sect disciple, there are also restrictions. Within 1,000,000 years, if you can't break through to the true G.O.D. realm, you'll lose the qualification to become an inner sect disciple forever. You can only go to other planets and help the sect manage some businesses, Huoquan said. 1,000,000 years. Many people's hearts trembled and then they revealed determined expressions. In 1,000,000 years they had to break through to the true G.O.D. realm. 1,000,000 years might seem long, but it was nothing to a martial G.O.D. In the martial G.O.D. realm, if one did not have some natural treasures or supreme-grade divine pills, it would be extremely difficult to break through each level. It would take a lot of time, especially the bottleneck from virtual G.O.D. level to true G.O.D. level. Many people would be stuck for hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, or even tens of millions or hundreds of millions of years. They were all very young, all under 10,000 years old. Although they were all talented, they couldn't guarantee that they could all break through to the true G.O.D. realm within 1,000,000 years. If he couldn't break through to true G.O.D., he would have to be signed to other planets to help Kong Xian sect manage their businesses. In that case, his achievements in the future would be limited if he was distracted. Within 1,000,000 years, I will definitely become a true G.O.D. and an inner sect disciple. I'm already at the 3rd level of the Void G.O.D. realm. I'll definitely break through within 1,000,000 years. The 150 youths all had determined gazes and were extremely confident in themselves. Huoquan saw this and smiled casually. He had lived for a long time and had seen too many geniuses that appeared once every 1,000 years. Every one of them had great confidence at the beginning. However, every year many people couldn't break through within 1,000,000 years. Most of them were stuck at the peak of the Void G.O.D. realm. Of course, he wouldn't say it out loud to hurt everyone's confidence. Follow me, let's go, Huoquan said as he flew toward the mountain range ahead. The group followed him and soon they arrived at the mountain range's exit. 2 young men, a man and a woman, came over to welcome them. Greetings, Elder Hua. The 2 young men bowed. Huoquan nodded and said to Lu Ming and the rest, follow these 2 senior brothers and sisters to find a place to stay. After you've settled down, you'll have to register your information at the Human Affairs Hall in 3 days and receive your ident. 1. Thai tokens. I'm going to report your matter now. With that, Huoquan turned into a rainbow and left. Junior brothers and sisters, we outer sect disciples live separately for men and women. Men live in one area and women live in another area. Junior sisters, follow me, the woman said, then turned around and flew into the mountain range. Lu Ming, I'll be leaving first. Xianxia said to Lu Ming. Go. Lu Ming smiled and nodded. Then Xianxia, Xianxia, and the other female disciples left with the woman. There were more than 150 of them. There were fewer women, about 50 of them, and the remaining 100 were all male disciples. My fellow junior brothers, follow me, the man said. He turned around and left and everyone followed. Soon they came to a building. There were courtyards here and each one was extremely spacious. This is where the outer sect disciples will live. You can choose for yourself. There is a sign on the door of each courtyard. However, if there is someone living here, the sign will be taken off. You can choose those with the sign. You can choose at will. After you've made your choice, report to the Human Resources Hall within 3 days. After saying that, the young man turned around and left as if he had some concerns. Lu Ming and the group were puzzled, but they did not care. They walked toward the courtyards. Squeak. At this moment, the door of a courtyard opened and a few young men walked out. They looked at Lu Ming and the rest with a mocking expression. The once-in-millennium newcomer is here again. One of the young men chuckled and walked toward Lu Ming and the rest. Greetings, senior brothers. Some people greeted the young men. After all, they were new here and some people didn't dare to act rashly. It was obvious that one of the young men was the leader. It was a young man in a yellow robe. He had an aquiline nose and a sharp face. He nodded and glanced at Lu Ming and the others. Right now, you still don't have the right to choose a courtyard. I'm not qualified to choose a courtyard yet. However, that senior brother just now, someone said. Nonsense, I have the final say here. The yellow-robed young man's eyes turned cold as he rebuked. If you want to choose a courtyard, you can. But you have to pay 10,000 divine crystals each. What? 10,000 divine crystals? Someone exclaimed. 10,000 divine crystals wasn't a small amount. Chapter 2655 Extortion. That's right, 10,000 yuan per person. After you hand it over, you can choose a courtyard to stay in. Those who don't hand it over are not qualified to stay. Let me tell you, those who don't stay in a courtyard are not considered Kong Xian sect disciples, and can only get out of the sect. Do you understand? The yellow-robed young man said coldly. Extortion. This was blatant extortion. Moreover, their appetites were astonishingly large. If each of them was given 10,000 divine crystals, then 100 of them would be equivalent to 1,000,000 divine crystals. What a huge sum of money was this. You guys, this is extortion. I'm going to tell Elder Huoquan about this. Some people roared, unwilling to be extorted. Bullshit, what extortion? You're new to the Kong Xian sect, so you should show respect to your senior brother, understand? The yellow-robed young man rebuked. His eyes flashed with a sinister light. It's fine if you don't respect me, and it's fine if you dare to tell the elders. However, you must be careful in the Xian sect from now on. Don't blame me for not warning you if you're crippled. A threat. It was a blatant threat. Some people's eyes flashed with fear. They had just arrived and were unfamiliar with the place, so they simply couldn't compete with these senior disciples. If the other party specifically came to find trouble with them, no one would be able to take it. Hurry up and hand it over. Whoever doesn't hand it over, I guarantee that you won't be able to stay in the Xian sect. The yellow-robed youth threatened. I don't believe that no one will take care of such a large Xian sect. I'll go find Elder Huoquan and ask him to uphold justice. A burly young man roared and turned to leave. You're looking for death. The yellow-robed young man shouted coldly. His figure flashed and he rushed towards the burly young man. His palm was like a knife and he struck at the burly young man. The wind from the palm whistled and its power was astonishing. 5th level Void God Realm. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The yellow-robed young man's cultivation was at the 5th level of the Void God Realm. The burly young man turned around and shouted as he punched. However, the burly young man's cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the Void God Realm, which was too far away from the yellow-robed young man's cultivation. The fist and palm collided and the burly young man spat out a mouthful of blood. His arm was broken and he flew 100 meters away before falling to the ground and coughing up blood. This is the outcome of anyone who doesn't obey. The yellow-robed young man's eyes were gloomy as he swept his gaze across Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming's expression was calm. But the others didn't look too good. Overbearing, too overbearing. Moreover, the yellow-robed young man's cultivation was extremely high. He was at the 5th level of the Void God Realm. In their group, no one had surpassed this cultivation. The Qin Heaven 13 clans recruited disciples once every 1,000 years. Hence they weren't very old. Many of them hadn't cultivated for more than 1,000 years. Even those who had cultivated for longer didn't exceed 2,000 years. Their cultivation wouldn't be very high. The person with the highest cultivation base in Lu Ming's group was also at 5th level Void God level, which was the same as the yellow-robed young man. However, the yellow-robed young man had joined the Xian sect a long time ago, so he must have cultivated an incomplete divine skill. Moreover, he must have reached a high level of mastery. Therefore, even those at the 5th level of the Void God Realm were most likely not his match, so they did not dare to make a move. After all, there were too few people like the Golden Sage and Huya. They had already reached the 9th level of the Void God Realm at such a young age. In the surrounding courtyards, some senior disciples were also using their spiritual senses to observe. Huangwu, you're really overbearing. You're attacking the new disciples again. What can we do? Who asked him to have a big brother with a strong background? Besides, other people want to save face, but he doesn't. He doesn't want face. That's right. We can only blame these new disciples for their bad luck. Pay 10,000 divine crystals for safety. I paid 10,000 1,000 years ago. Some of the senior disciples were secretly communicating with each other. Hurry up and hand it over, I don't have that much time to waste with you guys. The yellow-robed young man Huang Wu swept his cold gaze across Lu Ming and the rest. I'll pay, I'll pay. Finally, someone wavered. He took out 10,000 divine crystals and handed them to Huang Wu. I'll pay too. I'll pay. Many people came up one after another and handed over 10,000 divine crystals. He had no choice but to lower his head, so he would just treat it as spending money to get rid of a disaster. Kid, it's your turn. A young man beside Huang Wu cast a cold glance at Lu Ming. I'm sorry, I don't have any divine crystals. Lu Ming spread his hands casually and walked toward a courtyard. Brat, stop. Huang Wu coldly shouted. However, Lu Ming did not seem to hear it and continued to move forward. I told you to stop, are you deaf? Huang Wu shouted. Of course I'm not deaf. As Lu Ming walked, he turned around and cast a glance at Huang Wu. However, who do you think you are to stop just because you told me to? What? Huang Wu was stunned. Lu Ming actually dared to speak to him in this manner? How dare a newbie talk to him like that? He was not the only one. The senior disciples who were watching were also very surprised. This kid is really a hot-headed boy. He dared to say that about Huang Wu. I'm afraid he'll end up in a miserable state. It's hard to say. Since he dares to ignore Huang Wu like this, could he be a heaven's favorite from some major power? I can't say for sure. The senior disciples were all moved. It wasn't impossible. In the Qin Heaven Star region, Other than a few extremely terrifying races and the Qin Heaven 13 clans, there were also some other powerful forces and races. These forces would also choose young geniuses to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. For example, the Tigermen tribe was like this. If he came from a powerful clan, it was normal for him to have such confidence. Huang Wu was stunned for a moment, but he had also thought of this. His eyes glinted as he glanced at Lu Ming. Kid, you've got guts. Which galaxy are you from? Chaotic Astral River. Lu Ming said indifferently. What? Chaotic Astral River, that astral river of ruins? Some of the senior disciples, including Huang Wu, were stunned. He really came from the chaotic astral river? Huang Wu asked the other new disciple to confirm. Yes, he is indeed from the chaotic astral river. The new disciple nodded. Huang Wu immediately felt relieved. That brat is finished. He's from the chaotic astral river and he actually dares to be so arrogant. He's really... Some senior disciples shook their heads. In their eyes, it was already a miracle for a trifling person from the chaotic astral river to join the Xian sect, yet he still dared to be so arrogant. As expected of someone from a small place, he was short-sighted. Some of the senior disciples muttered to themselves. As for Huang Wu, his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Brat, kneel down and apologize for what you just said. Then hand over 100,000 divine crystals and let this matter go. Otherwise, it'll break your limbs and make you pay the price. Huang Wu said in a mocking tone. Idiot. Lu Ming said indifferently, turned around and continued to walk. You're looking for death. Huang Wu flew into a rage. Like an eagle, he pounced at Lu Ming, his palm as sharp as a blade, slashing at Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air. His divine power condensed into a long spear and he swept it out. Chapter 2656. Beating him up, Lu Ming's spear swept out. This time Lu Ming had used an incomplete divine skill. Moreover, he had unleashed the power of the 4th level, which was 9 levels of strength. It surged out and collided with Huang Wu's palm. Boom. There was a violent explosion. Lu Ming retreated rapidly, his steps causing the ground to explode. As for Huang Wu, he also retreated. This attack was evenly matched. This kid is so strong. It was still all right for the new disciples as they knew Lu Ming's strength. The senior disciples around them were all shocked that Lu Ming could block Huang Wu's attack and even push him back. This level of strength could be said to be shocking. Most importantly, they were even more shocked when they realized that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at demi-G. D level after scanning with their spiritual senses. This kid, Huang Wu's eyes narrowed. Earlier on he saw that Lu Ming's cultivation base was only at demi-G. D level, so he did not use his full strength in the attack just now. However, with his cultivation base, even if he did not use his full strength, he could easily suppress an ordinary 4th tier virtual G. D existence. Yet he was repelled by Lu Ming with one move. Kid, you have some strength, but I was far from using my full strength just now. Now I'll let you see what a senior brother is and what a rookie is. And that. Huang Wu coldly said, his divine power surging out. Bang. He charged at Lu Ming and struck out with his palm again. A blade of light shot out from his palm and slashed at Lu Ming. Huang Wu had used almost all of his strength in this move, and he had also used an incomplete divine skill. He had cultivated for many years and had already cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the 5th level. His power was astonishing. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. To be honest, Huang Wu's strength was shocking. The divine power he controlled was king-grade divine power, and he had cultivated an incomplete divine skill. He was far from being comparable to those 5th-level Void G. D realm cultivators from the Righteous Army and Origin Luo Palace. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming activated the battle formula that doubled his combat strength. In an instant, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. Boom. Lu Ming's long spear once again collided with the Huang Wu. This time the vibration was greater and stronger. Their bodies trembled violently again and they were forced to retreat. What? He blocked it again. This time Huang Wu used all his strength, but he was actually blocked. Is that kid still human? This is a demi-G. D. Are you kidding me? The senior disciples who were watching in secret were dumbfounded. Even the new disciples who had seen Lu Ming in action during the assessment widened their eyes in shock. During the assessment, Lu Ming was not that powerful. This was only natural. During the assessment, Lu Ming could not use the battle formula. Now that he could use it, it was naturally powerful. This kid, how is this possible? I don't believe it. Huang Wu roared in his heart. His eyes were incomparably ferocious as he charged at Lu Ming again. His palm was like a blade, and the blade chi was unceasingly slashing at Lu Ming. Lu Ming used his divine power to form a long spear. He was not afraid at all as he charged towards Huang Wu. At the same time, Lu Ming exerted the incomplete divine skill to its maximum, urging it to the 6th level to fight against Huang Wu. The two of them exchanged dozens of moves in an instant, and Lu Ming began to gain the upper hand. Monster, what kind of monster is this? The senior disciples almost bit off their tongues. A demiji. Di was actually able to suppress Huang Wu, who was at the 5th level of the Void Ji. Oh. D realm. Moreover, Huang Wu was not an ordinary 5th level Void Ji. Oh. D realm expert. He was a heaven's favorite. The two young men who followed Huang Wu couldn't do anything at all. Their cultivation base was even lower than Huang Wu's. Brat, I'm going to cripple you. Huang Wu roared. And NBSP, a battle saber appeared in his hand. This battle saber was a low-quality level 6 divine artifact. With the divine weapon in hand, his strength had increased by a large margin. Do you think you're the only one who has a divine artifact? Lu Ming said coldly. A long spear appeared in his hand. Lu Ming had obtained this long spear from the deity's cave abode. It was a level 9 low-grade divine artifact. Buzz. The long spear trembled as he performed the incomplete divine skill. In an instant, 13 layers of power burst out. Flang. Huang Wu's body shook violently and he was forced to retreat. The arm that was holding the saber was in great pain and it was almost split open. A level 9 low-grade G. Oh. D artifact. Huang Wu roared, his eyes burning as he stared at the long spear in Lu Ming's hands. And NBSP, a level 9 low-quality G. Oh. D artifact would at least cost 100,000 G. Oh. D crystals on the market. Lu Ming, a demi. Oh. D actually had a level 9 low-grade divine artifact. Kid, hand over the divine artifact and I'll let this matter rest. Huang Wu roared. Idiot, you want to just let it go like that, but I don't want to. Lu Ming said coldly. He used the ROC wings technique and in a flash he attacked Huang Wu. Huang Wu was furious and could only try his best to resist. Flang. Flang. Lu Ming took out a level 9 low-grade divine artifact. His combat power was undoubtedly stronger and he completely suppressed Huang Wu. After a few moves, the saber in Huang Wu's hand flew out. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and retreated quickly. Bang. Lu Ming swept his spear across and whipped Huang Wu's body. Huang Wu fell to the ground and vomited a large mouthful of blood. His face was filled with shock and anger. Brat, you dare to hurt me? I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Huang Wu roared. You talk too much nonsense, get lost. Lu Ming's spear swept out and Huang Wu was swept away like a cannonball. He turned into a black dot and could no longer be seen. After sending Huang Wu flying, Lu Ming took a deep breath and kept Huang Wu's saber. The value of a level 6 low-grade divine artifact wasn't low either. It could be exchanged for quite a few divine artifact fragments for Qiuqiu to eat. As Qiuqiu's level increased, this fellow's appetite. 1. He also became stronger. This fellow even despised low-level divine artifact fragments and insisted on eating divine artifact fragments that were of a higher level than itself. Brat, how dare you injure Huang Wu? Do you know who he is? You're dead for sure, you know that? One of the young men who came with Huang Wu shouted. Get lost. If you don't, I'll beat you up as well. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept across the two young men. The two young men shivered, revealing a look of fear. They didn't dare to say anything more and left dejectedly. This newbie is really crazy. A demi. Oh. D with such terrifying combat strength must be a peerless genius. However, Huang Wu's background isn't simple. His elder brother is a top figure among the inner disciples, and he's from the Holy Sun's faction. I'm afraid this newcomer won't have a good time in the future. That's right. Unless he also has a backer, he's finished. Some of the senior disciples were discussing. Some of the new disciples were stunned as well. They did not expect Lu Ming to be so domineering that he even dared to beat up the senior disciples. Many people's eyes flickered. Then they went to find a courtyard to stay in without a word. They did not dare to get too close to Lu Ming for fear of being implicated. "Brother Lu, thank you." At this moment, Deng Yu walked over and cupped his fists. "What are you thanking me for? I just don't want to give you the G.O.D. crystals." Lu Ming smiled. "Brother Lu, you have to be careful. Those few people dared to extort new disciples in public. I'm afraid they have a strong background. I'm afraid they will take revenge later." Deng Yu reminded. "Well, deal with whatever comes our way and well deal with whatever comes our way." Lu Ming smiled. What hadn't he experienced on his journey? What kind of risk had he not encountered? His mind was already extremely firm. Chapter 2657 Demi-G. O.D. Next, Lu Ming randomly found an empty courtyard to stay in. At the entrance of the courtyard, there was a sign with the number 86 on it. Lu Ming took the sign down and kept it, indicating that there was someone living there. "It seems like I have to break through as soon as possible and reach the void G.O.D. realm." Lu Ming pondered. On the surface he didn't have any expression on his face, but he was actually feeling a little anxious. Although he was powerful, this was the Kong Xian sect. As one of the Qin Heaven 13 clans, geniuses were as common as clouds. Those who could cultivate here were all geniuses. It was difficult to count how many geniuses had been ACCU, mulat over the countless years. Only those who failed to become true G.O.D.s in a million years would be sent to other planets to take care of some matters. In other words, just the outer sect alone already had a million years of heaven's favorites. How many of them were there? Every 1,000 years there would be more than 100 people. In a million years, it would exceed 100,000. Moreover, the Kong Xian sect did not solely rely on the once-in-millennium assessment to recruit disciples. Usually there were also some powerhouses who traveled to various vital planets to find talented people who could be directly accepted into the sect. The number of people who joined in this way was not small. Over the past million years, their numbers had also reached a shocking number. Even though there were many who had broken through to real G.O.D. and become inner disciples, there were still many who stayed. It was probably close to 100,000 people. These people were all powerful and talented. Facing these talents, Lu Ming's ability to fight above his level would be greatly reduced. Lu Ming sat cross-legged and meditated. At the same time, news of the battle between Lu Ming and Huang Wu had spread among the outer sect disciples. What? A new disciple defeated Huang Wu? Huang Wu's cultivation is at ethereal G.O.D. realm level 5. He has also cultivated the incomplete divine skill to level 5. He's very strong. It's not easy for a new disciple to defeat Huang Wu. He's indeed not simple. Could he be a heaven's favorite from some big clan? Many people were guessing. After all, the Qin Heaven 13 clans would recruit a batch of disciples every 1,000 years. Those with talent and strength would usually partake. 1. Peak 8. They wouldn't rely on their age. Therefore those who partake 1. Peak aided in the assessment to recruit disciples had not cultivated for a long time, so their cultivation would not be too deep. In the history of the sect, there were not many senior disciples who could defeat Huang Wu as soon as they joined. Wei Qing, you were there too. Do you know Lu Ming's background and which galaxy he comes from? He asked. Someone asked a young man who was present at the scene. From the chaotic astral river, I heard him say so himself. Wei Qing said. What? From the chaotic astral river? There's actually such a person in the chaotic astral river? Could it be that his cultivation level has surpassed? Said Huang Wu's. Wei Qing, is Lu Ming's cultivation higher than Huang Wu's? Is he at the 6th level of the void G.O.D. realm? Otherwise how could he be Huang Wu's match? The Qin Heavenly 13 clans have never opened up to the chaotic astral river. There are some heaven's favorites in the chaotic astral river who have trained for close to 10,000 years. It's not impossible for them to reach the 6th level of the void G.O.D. realm. Yes, that's definitely the case. Many people were certain that Lu Ming must have cultivated for nearly 10,000 years and his cultivation level must have surpassed. Said Huang Wu's to be able to defeat him. His cultivation base isn't higher than Huang Wu's. Wei Qing was speechless. What? Didn't surpass? As Huang Wu? Could he also be at the 5th level of the void G.O.D. realm? He's at the same level as a yellow warrior, And he can defeat a yellow warrior when he just entered the sect? Is that for real? One of the older outer sect disciples was in disbelief. If that's the case, then this person's comprehension ability is astonishing. He must have cultivated the incomplete divine skill to an extremely high level. Or perhaps he had a fortuitous encounter a long time ago and obtained another incomplete divine skill. He must have cultivated it for many years before he could defeat Huang Wu. Another old outer sect disciple guessed. Sai, let me tell you, that Lu Ming isn't even on virtual G. Oh, D level. Wei Qing said. Not ethereal G. Oh, D realm? Wei Qing, you must be mistaken. If he's not at the ethereal G. Oh, D realm, is he at the true G. Oh, D realm? A man who has cultivated for less than 10,000 years has reached the true G. Oh, D realm? Moreover, even if he's a true G. Oh, D, he can't come to the outer sect. I guess he'll become an inner sect disciple directly. Many outer sect disciples looked at him in disdain. Who said he's on true G? Oh, D level. He's not a true G. Oh, D, or a virtual G. Oh, he's a demi-G. Oh, D. Do you guys understand what a demi-G? Oh, D is? Wei Qing was anxious and said it in one breath. The entire place fell silent. Then the crowd burst into laughter. Ah, Wei Qing, are you crazy? A demi-G. Oh, D? A demi-G. Oh, D can defeat Huang Wu? Wei Qing, are you talking in your sleep? Do you think we're 3-year-old kids that can be easily fooled? Everyone scoffed and didn't believe him at all. They mocked Wei Qing. Wei Qing's face turned red and he shouted, that's the truth. Lu Ming has a demi-G. Oh, D cultivation, and he defeated Huang Wu. I wasn't the only one who saw it. There were others who saw it too. Also, new outer disciples are required to register at the Human Affairs Hall within 3 days to collect their ident. 1. Tai tokens. They will also be tested for their cultivation. If you don't believe me, we can wait at the Human Affairs Hall. When Lu Ming arrives, you'll know that I'm not lying. Seeing Wei Qing's expression, the others also became silent. Could it be that Wei Qing was telling the truth? And NBSP, however, they still found it hard to believe that a demi-G. Oh, D could actually defeat Huang Wu. In fact, even Wei Qing himself wouldn't have believed it if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. Let's go. Well, wait at the Human Affairs Palace. I don't believe it. Let's go. A group of people headed towards the Human Affairs Hall and waited there. A few hours later, Lu Ming had recovered to his peak state. He got up and headed to the Human Affairs Hall. The Human Affairs Hall was an outer sect disciple of the Xian sect. Everyone knew where it was. Lu Ming found the Human Affairs Hall easily after asking around. The Human Resources Hall was a huge hall. He's here. Lu Ming is here. That's Lu Ming. Wei Qing pointed at Lu Ming and shouted as soon as he arrived. That kid is Lu Ming? I'd like to see what his cultivation level is. An outer sect disciple extended his spiritual consciousness, wanting to probe Lu Ming's cultivation. Lu Ming sensed it instantly. His spiritual sense rushed out and blocked the person's peeping. That person's spiritual sense retracted and he said, he's discovered us, but he hasn't found anything. Let's just wait and see. Lu Ming swept a glance at the group of people and then stepped into the hall. Wei Qing and the others followed from a distance. In fact, there were many people who were as curious as Wei Qing and the others. They all stood aside and watched as if nothing had happened. Lu Ming came to a counter. An elder at the counter looked at Lu Ming and said, "Are you a new disciple?" "Yes." Lu Ming nodded. "Name, age from that galaxy. Report them all." The old man said. Lu Ming. Lu Ming reported his information. "Put your divine power into this crystal ball. It will test your cultivation." The old man took out a crystal ball and set it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. He took the crystal ball and inserted his divine energy into it. The crystal ball started to glow. D? The old man was a little surprised. He then registered Lu Ming's information. D, look. It's really half of his body. The old outer disciples who were watching nearby were all dumbfounded. Lu Ming was really a demi-G. D. Chapter 2658. The Tianhong Saint's son. The senior outer disciples were all dumbfounded. Previously they did not believe that Lu Ming was a demi-G. D. However, at this moment they had no choice but to believe it. That was because the crystal ball test could not be faked. Lu Ming had actually defeated Huang Wu, who was at 5th level Void G. Oh. D realm with his Demi G. Oh. D level cultivation base. How was this possible? This was simply like a fantasy story. Monstrous, a true monstrous genius. Many people looked at Lu Ming with grave eyes. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Of course, he knew what the people around him were up to. Previously, he had defeated Huang Wu with the intention of establishing his might. Lu Ming had experienced too much along the way. He naturally understood that no matter where he went, newbies would be bullied. Therefore, only by showing his strong abilities would others be in awe of him. He would have less trouble then. Otherwise, how could he cultivate if a bunch of people kept provoking him? This way there would be fewer outer sect disciples who would dare to provoke him. After registering his information, the elder Paas said an ident. 1. Tai token to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took the ident. 1. Tai token turned around and left the place. Brother Lu. Lu Ming had just walked out of the Human Affairs Hall when someone shouted from behind. Deng Yu had caught up to him. Brother Deng, what's the matter? Lu Ming smiled. Brother Lu, I've just heard that Huang Wu's background is extraordinary. Deng Yu said. Oh. What's his background? Lu Ming asked. I heard that Deng Ye's big brother is a heaven's favorite among the inner disciples. He's very powerful. Also, his big brother's master is an inner elder and he's exceptionally powerful. Deng Yu said with a solemn expression. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. He did not expect Huang Wu to have such a background. However, since he had already done it, there was nothing to be afraid of. He would deal with it as it came. Brother Deng, thank you. Lu Ming smiled. After knowing Huang Wu's background, Deng Yu still dared to come and tell him. He was a good person and was worth befriending. He did not see the others, but they had already stayed far away from Lu Ming. The two of them chatted as they returned to their residence. Back in his room, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. With a thought, an exquisite dagger appeared in Lu Ming's hands. This dagger was given to him by the ancestor of technique. He had asked him to bring it to a woman named Yuexin from the Xian sect. However, according to the ancestor of technique, Yuexin was the daughter of an important figure in the Xian sect and was most likely not in the outer sect. He was in the outer sect now, so it would not be easy to find Yuexin. When there's time, find someone to investigate. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then he kept the dagger and took out a jade bottle. The jade bottle contained the spirit-strengthening pill. The spirit-strengthening pill could increase the strength of his divine power and refine it. It was extremely helpful for Void G. Oh. D realm cultivators to break through. After one's cultivation reached the Demi G. Oh. D realm, there was no need to comprehend any Dao, especially Demi G. Oh. Guess and virtual G. Oh. As long as one refined their divine power, their cultivation would naturally increase. However, without the help of divine pills or natural treasures, this process would be very slow. After consuming a spirit-strengthening pill, Lu Ming began to refine it. The spirit-strengthening pill turned into waves of energy and gushed into the divine fire in Lu Ming's dantian. It was continuously refined by the divine fire and then transformed into divine power. At the same time, the rich divine qi in the surrounding he continued to gather towards Lu Ming. It surged into Lu Ming's body and was refined by him, slowly turning into divine power. A few days later, Lu Ming finished refining a spirit-strengthening pill and ended his cultivation. The divine qi on Xian planet is too dense. Cultivating here is several times faster than cultivating in the chaotic astral river. If this continues, it'll be able to become AG, in less than a year. Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. After a few days of cultivation, Lu Ming felt that the divine fire in his body had grown stronger. There were traces of divine power flowing out of the divine fire and flowing into the meridians in his body. It was a slow process for a demi-G. D to advance to the virtual G. D realm. Most people would have to stay for a long time. However, the divine qi on Xian planet was extremely rich. With the help of the spirit-strengthening pill, Lu Ming was confident that he could become AG, D within a year. Someone's there. At this moment, Lu Ming sensed that someone was flying in from outside his courtyard and stopped at the entrance. Clang. The door to his courtyard was pushed open. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. In a flash, he left the room and arrived at the courtyard. A young man walked in from the door. The man was dressed in fine clothes and had a cold and arrogant expression. He glanced at Lu Ming and smiled. "You are Lu Ming?" Although this person was smiling, his tone still revealed a trace of superiority. "That's right, Lu Ming. Did Huang Wu send you here?" Lu Ming asked. No. No, the young man in luxurious clothes shook his head. "Huang Wu is not qualified to send me here. Someone wants to see you. Perhaps this is a great opportunity for you." "Someone wants to see me? A lucky chance?" Lu Ming was stunned. He was new here and didn't know anyone. "That's right, come with me." The young man in luxurious clothes turned around and left after he finished speaking. Lu Ming frowned. Initially, the attitude of the young man in luxurious clothes made him uncomfortable and he did not want to go. However, he was indeed a little curious. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming followed him. After walking out of the courtyard, they soared into the air and landed in a luxurious courtyard. This courtyard was very luxurious. It was more than 10 times larger than Lu Ming's courtyard. Furthermore, its geographical location was very good and it was filled with divine qi. Lu Ming and the young man in luxurious clothes walked into the courtyard and saw a few tables and chairs in the courtyard. A few young men were sitting on the tables and chairs, drinking and chatting. "Big brother Ing, I've brought the person." The young man in luxurious clothes cupped his fists towards a golden-haired young man, and then sat down at a table. Sitting at the head of the table was a golden-haired young man. He had a dignified appearance and a strong aura. One look and one could tell that he was an expert. "You are Lu Ming?" The golden-haired young man and the other young men looked at Lu Ming. "Not bad," Lu Ming said. "Sit." The golden-haired young man waved his hand and pointed to a table and chair. Lu Ming was puzzled. He was sure that he had not seen these people before. However, he was not afraid and sat down at a table and chair. "I heard that you ranked first in the 13 clans of assessment." The golden-haired young man took a sip of wine and smiled. "I was just lucky," Lu Ming said. "No matter what, the fact that you're first shows that you're talented. To be honest, we're under the Tianhong Saint's son. We belong to the Tianhong faction," the golden-haired youth said. "The Tianhong Saint's son? The Tianhong sect?" Lu Ming had a puzzled look. "You've just arrived, so you might not know yet. Let me tell you. The Xian sect is extremely powerful and huge," the golden-haired young man said. "There are as many experts as there are clouds in the sky. Other than the sect leader and some supreme elders, the sect is divided into various factions, led by the saints' sons and saintesses. Chapter 2659 Different Factions. The golden-haired young man explained to Lu Ming in detail. In the Xian sect, as long as the prodigies who had mastered divine-grade divine power or divine-grade divine power had reached a certain level of cultivation, they could form their own factions. Those who could control divine power were called holy sons or holy daughters. Those who could control divine-grade divine power were called divine sons. These holy sons, holy Goddesses, and divine sons could be said to be the candidates for the future sect master. The future sect master would definitely be born from these people. These holy sons, holy Goddesses, and divine sons were equivalent to the princes of an empire. Every one of them had the support of many people in the Xian sect. The outer disciples, inner disciples, outer elders, and even inner elders all had their own supporters. As long as the person they supported became the sect leader in the future, then the people of this faction would naturally rise to the heavens. It could be said that these factions were extremely powerful in the Xian sect. In fact, it wasn't just the Xian sect that was like this. The Qin Heaven 13 clans and the other sects were the same. The golden-haired young man and the others belonged to one of the holy sons, the Tianhong Holy Sons faction. When they heard that Lu Ming was the top scorer of this batch of assessment, they wanted to rope him in to join the Tianhong sect. "How is it? Join the Tianhong faction. It will be very beneficial to you," the golden-haired youth said. "I'm sorry, but I don't have any plans to join any faction at the moment," Lu Ming said. The main reason he had come to the Xian sect was to use the sect's resources to cultivate, and he had no intention of getting involved in the struggle between the various factions. Hearing Lu Ming's rejection, the golden-haired young man and the other young men frowned. "Lu Ming, I know that you offended Huang Wu a few days ago. Let me tell you, Huang Wu's background is not simple. His elder brother is a prodigy among the inner disciples, and his master is a powerful inner elder. Moreover, they belong to the Sacred Sun's faction, the Sacred Sun of Reflection. Huang Wu will definitely take revenge on you. As long as you join the Tianhong Saint Sun, you'll be under our protection. Huang Wu won't be able to do anything to you. The golden-haired youth said. I'm sorry, but I really don't intend to join any faction. Lu Ming shook his head and refused again. Needless to say, once he joined a sect, he would become the sect's hatchet man and tool. Lu Ming was not interested in working for a certain holy sun. In addition, the attitude of the young man in luxurious clothes made Lu Ming very unhappy. He did not have a good impression of the people from the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. Moreover, although the golden-haired young man was smiling, his tone was very cold and arrogant, as if he was high and mighty, looking down on Lu Ming. Kid, don't be so shameless. Don't think that you're so great just because you got first place. The disciple recruitment test of the 13 clans only happens once every 1,000 years. Over the countless years, people like you can be found everywhere. The young man in luxurious clothes slammed the table and scolded with a cold face. That's right. We invited you to join the Tianhong Saint Sun because we think highly of you. Don't think too highly of yourself. You won't even know how you died. Another young man said coldly. Oh, since you don't welcome me, I'll leave. Lu Ming said indifferently. He then stood up and was about to leave. Stop. You can come and go as you please. What do you think this place is? The young man in luxurious clothes suddenly stood up and scolded. What a joke. You were the one who invited me here. Otherwise, do you think I would come? Lu Ming sneered. Kid, what's with your attitude? You're looking for death. The young man in luxurious clothes shouted coldly and circulated his divine power. A strong divine power burst out and pressed down on Lu Ming. 7th level Void G. Oh. D realm. This young man was at the 7th level of the Void G. Oh. D realm and was much stronger than Huang Wu. Lu Ming circulated his divine power, ready to strike at any moment. No matter how powerful the other party was, Lu Ming would not allow himself to be captured without putting up a fight. What's wrong? This is the style of the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. If they don't agree to join, they'll take action. If this matter gets out, we'll see who will still join the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. Lu Ming said coldly. You dare to threaten me? The eyes of the young man in luxurious clothes turned even colder, and he was about to make a move. Let him go. At this moment, the voice of the golden-haired young man sounded. Big brother Ing. The young man in luxurious clothes said anxiously. Let him go. We, the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction, will not force him. The golden-haired young man raised his hand. The young man in luxurious clothes had no choice but to retract his aura. Lu Ming strode away without looking back. After Lu Ming left, the young man in luxurious clothes said unhappily, Brother Ing, why didn't you let me teach Lu Ming a lesson? This guy doesn't know what's good for him. That's right. For him to be able to get first place, his talent is not bad. If we let him join another faction, it will not be good for us. Another young man said. Don't worry. If he doesn't join our faction, he'll be an enemy if he joins another faction. Such a person can't be allowed to live in this world. Inform the others that if they meet this person outside, they can kill him when they have the chance. However, I'm afraid he won't be able to pass Huang Wu's test. We'll just wait and watch a good show. The golden-haired youth said coldly. His previous smile had disappeared and only killing intent remained. Since Lu Ming had gotten first place in the assessment, he must be quite talented. He had wanted to recruit Lu Ming under the Tianhong Saint Sun. After all, there was a reward for recruiting a genius. He did not expect Lu Ming to be so stubborn. I didn't expect the relationships within the Xian sect to be so complicated. Forget it, I'll focus on raising my strength first. Lu Ming furrowed his brows when he returned to the courtyard. Xian sect's waters ran deep, and only by being strong could one not be afraid of the outside world. Lu Ming immediately continued to refine the transformation and spirit-strengthening pill and cultivate. In another luxurious courtyard in the outer court of Xian sect. This courtyard was Huang Wu's. And NBSP, now that Huang Wu's injuries had healed, he was in a meeting with his lackeys. Lu Ming, I want him to die a terrible death. Huang Wu said with a cold expression. Senior brother Huang Wu, should we report this to senior brother Huang Wen and ask him to send someone to deal with Lu Ming? One of the lackeys suggested. Huang Wen was Huang Wu's elder brother. My elder brother has been in seclusion to break through to the next realm. There's no need to disturb him over such a small matter. Go and call the Lu brothers over. Let them cripple Lu Ming. Huang Wu said. Senior brother, you're so wise. The Lu brothers are both at 6th level Void G. Oh. D realm. If they join forces they'll be able to crush Lu Ming. We'll go get them now. One of the lackeys said. In Lu Ming's courtyard he was refining the effects of the spirit-strengthening pill when suddenly, a loud roar came from outside. Lu Ming, get out here. His voice was so loud that Lu Ming's courtyard was trembling. Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. No one would be in a good mood if they were disturbed during cultivation. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and walked out of the courtyard. He saw a few figures standing in front of him. Huang Wu. Lu Ming saw Huang Wu at one glance. Chapter 2660 Abusing Huang Wu. In addition, there were 2 young men beside Huang Wu. The 2 of them looked similar but their figures were completely different. One of them was short and fat while the other was tall and thin. Both of them stared at Lu Ming with an unfriendly expression. It's you again looking for abuse. Lu Ming cast an indifferent glance at Huang Wu. Kid, you're good. This time I'll cripple you. You guys go and break his limbs. I'll make him cry on the ground. Huang Wu said in a ruthless manner. It was not that he did not want to kill Lu Ming, but there was a rule in the Xian sect that disciples of the same sect were not allowed to kill each other. However, fighting was not forbidden. As long as they did not kill or cripple their cultivation they could do whatever they wanted. Otherwise Huang Wu would have crushed Lu Ming's bones and scattered his ashes. Junior brother Huang Wu, don't worry. I'll break his limbs and make him cry on the ground like a cripple. The short and fat young man said ferociously. Divine power burst out from him and he pressed down on Lu Ming like a mountain. At the same time the tall and thin young man also burst out with divine power and stepped toward Lu Ming. 6th level Void G. Oh. D realm. The short and fat youth and the tall and thin youth were both at the 6th level of the Void G. Oh. D realm. The divine power they controlled was undoubtedly king-grade divine power. Lu Ming frowned slightly. With his current cultivation he was probably not a match for a 6th level Void G. Oh. D realm expert who had king-grade divine power. Kneel down. Kneel down. The short and fat youth and the tall and thin youth shouted and attacked at the same time. Their weapons were a giant hammer. When they waved it the power was amazing. Boom. Boom. The wind whistled and the terrifying force crushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and retreated rapidly. You want to leave? Stay. The Lu brothers bellowed and chased after him relentlessly. Their huge hammers were like a storm, blasting towards Lu Ming. This was also an incomplete divine skill. When the 2 of them worked together their power would double. Who said I'm leaving? At this moment Lu Ming suddenly stopped. He waved his hand and shouted, smash. A bangle flew out of Lu Ming's hand and turned into a huge ball, which was thrown at the short and fat young man. Get lost. The short and fat youth roared as he continued to smash the hammer on the round ball. Boom. There was a huge explosion. Then the short and fat young man's eyes popped out. With a scream his body flew out like a kite with a broken string. He crashed heavily on the ground and could not get up for a long time. That round ball was naturally Xiao. During these days Xiao had devoured a large number of divine artifact fragments and metal attribute blacksmithing materials, and it had advanced once again. Now Xiao had already reached 5th level Void G. Oh. D level. With Xiao's strength it would not be a problem for it to defeat the short and chubby youth who was at the 6th level of the Void G. Oh. D realm. Unless the other party had reached the 7th level of the Void G. Oh. D realm and controlled king-grade divine power he would not be able to resist Xiao. After sending the chunky young man flying Xiao smacked toward the tall and thin young man. In the end he was no different from the short and fat young man. He was sent flying by Xiao and fell to the ground vomiting blood. What? Huang Wu's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. That is a metallic life form? The commotion here had long since alarmed some of the outer sect disciples in the nearby courtyards, and the scene of Xiao smashing the Lu brothers flying was naturally seen by them. Those people were shocked. He did not expect Lu Ming to have such a powerful metallic life form. Now it's your turn. Lu Ming's cold eyes swept across Huang Wu. Huang Wu was almost scared to death. He turned around and ran. However, how could his speed be faster than Qiu? Qiu directly flew over and smashed down on Huang Wu's head. Huang Wu tried his best to block, but he was also sent flying. He fell to the ground and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Just now you said you wanted to break my limbs. Now I'll try it on you. Lu Ming stepped forward and his divine power condensed into a long spear. Lu Ming, don't you dare. Do you know who my big brother is? My big brother is Huang Wen, a heaven's favorite among the inner disciples. If you dare to hurt me, my big brother will not let you off. Huang Wu roared and threatened Lu Ming. You talk too much. Go. Lu Ming said coldly. He pulled out the long spear and hit Huang Wu's legs. Arg! Huang Wu screamed. His legs were broken and his broken bones were visible as blood gushed out. Although he could recover from such injuries very quickly, the pain was real and would not be reduced at all. Ah, brat, you're dead. I'm going to turn you into ashes. Huang Wu roared. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming waved his spear again, breaking the bones in Huang Wu's arms. Huang Wu lay on the ground like a pool of mud. Such great courage. The surrounding outer disciples all took in a cold breath. And NBSP, he knew Huang Wu idn't. Tian still dared to be so ruthless. He was truly a ruthless person. Get lost. Lu Ming kicked Huang Wu and sent him flying. He turned into a black dot in the sky. If it was not for the Kongshen sect's rule that killing was not allowed, Lu Ming would have killed Huang Wu without any hesitation. Ruthless, he's really ruthless. I'll definitely take revenge on Huang Wu. That's for sure. When the time comes, we'll invite his big brother. If we invite any random outer sect expert, Lu Ming will be in danger. You're too impulsive, not wise. The other outer sect disciples were discussing in secret. Lu Ming's gaze was somewhat unfocused. He was about to return to his room to continue cultivating and strive for a breakthrough as soon as possible. At this time, a beam of light flew over from the distant sky. A middle-aged man appeared in the sky. All disciples who have entered the sect for less than 3,000 years immediately gather at the square at the foot of the mountain. The man's voice boomed out, filling the entire area. After saying that, the middle-aged man repeated himself twice before turning around and leaving. Those who entered the sect within 3,000 years? Lu Ming was surprised and did not understand why. Looks like we'll have to go to that place. I'm so envious. That's right. If I can go there again, I'm afraid I can make a breakthrough in my cultivation. Some of the older outer sect disciples started to discuss among themselves, and many of them looked envious. Those who had just joined like Lu Ming were very surprised but did not ask much. They all flew down the mountain. At the foot of the mountain there was a huge square. They would meet there. Little Qing. Lu Ming saw Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan the moment he arrived. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan were both women. Lu Ming. Xian Yanqing smiled when he saw Lu Ming and flew over. Many people cast their gazes at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. What a beautiful woman. It's a pity that she's already taken. Who's that kid? He actually has such good fortune. I'm so envious. Many male disciples cast envious, jealous and hateful gazes at Lu Ming. There were even more people who flew towards the female disciples and greeted them, taking the opportunity to close the distance. Chapter 2661 Plant Life. In a short while, more than 600 people had gathered in the square. They were all disciples who had entered the sect within the 3,000 years. At this moment, a few figures flew over from the distance. There were a total of 5 people, some old and some middle-aged. In the middle was a middle-aged man in a loose black robe. Everyone recognized that this was the symbol of an outer sect elder. As for the other 4, judging from their clothes, they had the symbol of an outer sect deacon. I've called you all here today to bring you to a place. I'll be a trial for you, but it'll also be an opportunity. I'll be a benefit for you. The outer sect elder said. Training? Wolfer. Everyone was surprised. That's right. On the Kongshen planet, there's a strange forest with a large number of plant life forms. These plant life forms are very strange. They have a kind of wood crystal in their bodies. This kind of wood crystal contains dense and pure energy. It's very easy for ethereal D realm experts to absorb and refine it. It's a great help for ACCU, mulating and increasing divine power. It can help your cultivation base increase a step in a short time. According to the sect's rules, the forest only opens once every 3,000 years. Therefore all disciples who have joined in the past 3,000 years can enter. Consider it a benefit for you to join the sect. However, some of those plant life forms are very aggressive and some of them are poisonous. They are dangerous and can be considered a form of training for you, the outer sect elder explained. Everyone came to a sudden realization. Some people's gazes were filled with eagerness. To have such benefits when one just entered the sect, it was indeed worthy of being a top sect. Buzz. The outer sect elder waved his hand and a divine combat sword appeared. It then grew rapidly, becoming hundreds of miles wide and then dozens of miles wide. Go up, it'll take you there. The outer sect elders and 4 outer sect deacons landed on the divine weapon greatsword first. Then Lu Ming and the rest also flew onto the giant sword one by one. Let's go. The outer sect elder shouted. The huge sword turned into a rainbow light and flew into the distance at an extremely fast speed. Lu Ming and the rest were very stable on the giant sword. There were no fluctuations at all. What a fast speed. Is this the strength of a heavenly G? Oh, G? Lu Ming looked at the mountains, rivers and other things that flitted past in his surroundings. He sighed in his heart. It was too fast. Even with Lu Ming's eyesight he could not see the scenery that flashed past. The outer sect elder of the Xian sect was at least a sky celestial. Such a person could use his body to cross the stars, so his speed was naturally amazing. However, Xian planet was too big. Even if a heavenly God brought them there, it would still take some time. What? Lu Ming suddenly looked in one direction. He had sensed that someone was looking at him with killing intent. Lu Ming looked over and saw a few young men. They immediately turned their heads and pretended as if nothing happened. They have killing intent towards me. Are they Huangwa's people? Lu Ming thought to himself. Lu Ming, those few people have the intention to kill you. Xianxia muttered. Obviously he had felt it too. Yes, I can feel it. We're in a forest. Careful. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xianxia. The two of them chatted for a while and then sat down cross-legged. However, following that, Lu Ming could sense killing intent sweeping toward him from time to time. Although it was well hidden, Lu Ming's spiritual senses were sharp and he could clearly sense it. After a few hours the giant sword stopped. There was a huge mountain range ahead. This mountain range was extremely vast. Ancient trees towered into the sky and one could not see the end of it. The area of this mountain range was probably dozens of times larger than the area of the Heaven Realm, the Primordial Realm and the Evil D Realm combined. This is our destination, the Forest of Plants. There are a lot of plants living in it. Although the plants are not very strong and there are almost no existences above the true D Realm, you should know your own strength. Don't lose your life because of greed. Also, you only have 3 months. After 3 months you must come out. Go. The outer sect elder waved his hand. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. Immediately, nearly 600 people turned into streaks of light and flew into the mountain range, rushing into the endless forest. Lu Ming and Xianxia also flew toward the mountain of plants. Let's go together. Xianxia appeared beside Lu Ming. All right. Lu Ming nodded. They flew for a while and then rushed into the vast mountain range of plants. The 4 of you go in and take a look. If a true D-level plant life form is really born, kill it. After everyone had entered the mountain range, the outer sect elder instructed the 4 deacons. Yes. The 4 deacons' figures flickered, and they also rushed into the mountain range of plants. As for the outer sect elder, he was waiting outside. Lu Ming, Xianxia and Xianxia landed in a forest. It was quiet in the forest. Other than the sound of the wind there was no other sound. Other than plants there were no other living beings. The 3 of them observed for a while and then went deep into the forest. Whoosh. When Lu Ming paused, said by an old vine, the old vine moved. Like a soft whip, it wrapped around Lu Ming. On the old vine, there were sharp thorns that glowed with a green light. It was obvious that they were poisonous. Plant life. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. A divine weapon sword appeared in his hand and he slashed out. The old vine was cut in half by Lu Ming and dark green liquid flowed out. Then Lu Ming saw an old vine uprooting itself and running wildly in an attempt to escape. You still want to leave? Lu Ming cast the ROC wings technique and caught up to the old vine in a flash. He slashed the root of the old vine. The old vine twitched a few times and stopped moving. Then Lu Ming broke open the old vine and found a green crystal the size of a finger. It was a wood crystal and it contained a very rich energy essence. Let's check the energy. Lu Ming opened his mouth and inhaled, swallowing the wood crystal. Immediately, the wood crystal turned into rolling energy and poured into the divine fire. Soon the energy of the wood crystal was directly transformed into divine power. As expected, it can be directly absorbed and transformed. Lu Ming sighed. Refining this wood crystal was even faster than refining a spirit-strengthening pill. However, that old vine was only at the first level of the ethereal G.O.D. realm, so it didn't have much energy. Then the three of them continued forward. However, after walking for a while, he did not find any traces of plant life. Not all the plants in the forest were plant life forms. Many of them were not plant life forms but just ordinary plants. If this plant life form doesn't take the initiative to attack, it'll be exactly the same as ordinary plants. It'll be very difficult to discover it, Xianxia said. Lu Ming and Xianxia frowned. That was indeed the case. If the plant life form didn't take the initiative to attack, they might not be able to discover it even if it was right next to them. Lu Ming tried Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu is a metallic life form, similar to plant life forms. It's a special life form. Maybe you can sense it, Xianxia suggested. Chapter 2662 The Sacred Son of Reflection Sect. Xianxing's words made Lu Ming's eyes light up. That's right, Qiuqiu was a metallic life form just like plant life forms. It could be considered a type of special life form. Could he sense it? Lu Ming immediately woke Qiuqiu up. Every time Qiuqiu transformed into a bangle and wore it on Lu Ming's hand, it was basically sleeping and digesting the divine artifact fragments and refining materials it had eaten. Crack, crack. Qiuqiu was awoken and transformed into a round metal ball. A huge mouth appeared on top of it and it kept on biting. This glutton wants to eat the moment he wakes up. Lu Ming smiled speechlessly. He took out a fragment of a level 5 divine artifact and threw it to Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu bit it and ate it with loud crunching sounds. Sparks shot out from between its teeth, and a fragment of a grade 5 divine artifact was instantly destroyed by Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu, try to sense if there are plant life forms here. Let's see if you can sense them. Lu Ming continued to play the ball. Crack, crack. A pair of eyes appeared on Qiuqiu's mouth and it started to look around. Buzz. All of a sudden, Qiuqiu flew out toward a tree that was as thick as a person's thigh and bit down. Buzz. Immediately, the tree jumped up and its branches swept around. The roots were like venomous snakes as they coiled around Qiuqiu. There really is. Lu Ming, Xianxia and Xianxia were overjoyed. This tree was right beside them but they didn't feel it. Buzz. As soon as Xianxia got close to the tree, he made his move. With a flash of his sword, the tree was split into hundreds of pieces. The wood chips flew all over the sky and a wood crystal appeared in Xianxin's hand. Buzz. Following that, Qiuqiu flew to the other side and bit down on a plant that looked like a weed. Immediately, the plant also jumped up and ran wildly, but it was killed by Xianxing's sword. The next moment, the plants around Lu Ming and the group seemed to have moved. At least a dozen types of plants moved. Their roots left the ground and ran wildly into the distance like feet. There were large trees that required a few people to wrap their arms around slender bamboos, a few large locust trees and a few old vines. So many. Lu Ming and the few of them were dumbfounded. These plant life forms were invisible when they didn't move. They didn't expect that there would be so many plant life forms around them. Were they trying to ambush them? Kill. Lu Ming and the other two did not hold back and charged towards the plant life forms. These plant life forms were not of high levels. The strongest one was only at 5th level Void G.O.D. realm. Not long after, they were all killed by Lu Ming and the others, and they obtained more than 10 wood crystals. This kind of wood crystal was very easy to refine. After the three of them divided it evenly, they swallowed it on the spot and refined it. In less than an hour, he had refined all of them. Lu Ming felt that the divine power in his body had grown a lot. A wisp of divine fire burned in his dantian. Divine power kept flowing out and flowing in all his meridians. As long as his meridians were filled with divine power, Lu Ming would be able to break through to the martial G.O.D. realm. Continue. Immediately, Lu Ming and the rest led Qiuqiu and started hunting the plant life forms. This forest only opened once every 3,000 years and there were many plant life forms. A few days later they had hunted hundreds of them and obtained hundreds of wood crystals, all of which were refined by the three of them. Lu Ming felt that the divine energy in his body was becoming more and more abundant. He was getting closer and closer to the day he could break through. Xianxia and Xianxia's cultivation base was slightly higher. They had reached the third level of the Void G.O.D. realm. They needed more energy to level up, but they had also made significant progress and were approaching the fourth level of the Void G.O.D. realm quickly. A treasure land. This forest was really a treasure land. No wonder the outer sect elder said that it was a benefit for them. As long as he could kill plant life forms, his cultivation would rapidly increase. This was indeed a benefit. This was especially so for Lu Ming and the rest. They could hunt plant life very quickly, which was a rare benefit. Their cultivation speed was completely incomparable to normal cultivation. A fifth-level virtual G.O.D. level tree with a diameter of about 10 meters was split in half by Lu Ming's sword. When dealing with plant life forms, the combat sword was still more convenient. Lu Ming smiled. He was about to go over and peel the wood crystal when suddenly, Lu Ming's hair stood on end and he retreated rapidly. Boom! An arrow was shot from the front at an astonishing speed. It landed on the ground where he had just stepped on, blasting a huge pit in the ground. Lu Ming's face was a little gloomy as he looked ahead. In a flash, 5 young men, 4 men and 1 woman, appeared in front of him. One of the young men held a large bow. He appeared in front of the tree that Lu Ming had split open and dug out a wood crystal. It's such a waste to give these wood crystals to a few people who are about to die. The young man with the large bow smiled contemptuously. He looked at Lu Ming and the rest as if they were already dead. It's them. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. These few people were the ones who had repeatedly emitted killing intent towards him. Did Huang Wu send you here? Lu Ming said. I can't say that. The bow-wielding youth smiled and said, Huang Wu and his brother Huang Wen are both under the sacred sun of reflection. You've injured the sacred sun of reflection's people. Do you still want to live? The sacred sun of reflection. Lu Ming understood now. These people were the same as Huang Wu. They were all from the sacred sun of reflection's faction. Lu Ming had abused Huang Wu twice. These people were here to avenge him. These 2 girls are really beautiful. It's a pity to kill them. How about this? I'll give you a chance. You 2 join us and serve us well and we'll spare your lives. The other young man had a lecherous look on his face. He looked at Xianxia and Xianxia evilly. Do you think you've got us all in the bag? Lu Ming said coldly. At the same time he circulated his divine power, preparing for a big battle at any time. Lu Ming, you're pretty strong and you have a metallic life form. However, you'll definitely die in front of us. The young man with the large bow said coldly, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. And NBSP, the other 4 circulated their divine power, their powerful auras and cold killing intent erupting from them. 2 7th-level Void G.O.D. realm martial artists. 3 6th-level Void G.O.D. realm martial artists. In an instant Lu Ming could determine the other party's strength. His heart sank slightly. These young men had all been in the sect for 1,000 years or even 2,000 years. They were all very powerful. Needless to say, the divine power they controlled was king-grade divine power, which was not something ordinary people could compare to. Xianxia and Xianxia's combat strength was shocking, but their cultivation was limited. Even a 3rd-level Void G.O.D. realm would find it difficult to deal with a 6th-level Void G.O.D. realm. Given Lu Ming's abilities, he was no match for a 6th-level virtual G.O.D. Qiuqiu's strength was slightly stronger, but a 7th-level Void G.O.D. level existence was enough to stop him. The situation was not in their favor. At this time a figure flashed in the sky and an old man appeared. This old man was one of the 4 outer sect deacons. The old man saw everything that was happening below. Chapter 2663 Breaking out of the encirclement. The outer sect deacon stood high in the sky and could see everything that was happening below clearly. However, Lu Ming and the rest did not notice him. However, he did not stop her. This brat is so stubborn. My Tianhong faction invited him to join, but he refused. Since he doesn't want to join my Tianhong faction, he will be an enemy sooner or later. I can use the people from the Floating Light faction to get rid of him. There was a flash of ruthlessness in Lao Zi's eyes. The elder was from the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. In the Kongxian sect, some outer deacons, outer elders, and even inner elders would join some factions to support a certain holy son or holy virgin to become the sect leader. Since Lu Ming did not want to join the Tianhong sect, he would be the enemy of the Tianhong sect if he joined another sect in the future. The old man chuckled, and in a flash he left the place as if he had not seen anything. You two surrender now. Otherwise you'll end up in a miserable state. The young man with the bow looked at Xianxia and Xianxia and spoke again. That's right. Hurry up. We'll give you one last chance. Otherwise you won't have another chance. The other 7th level Void G. Oh. D realm young man also said coldly. Wait, let's charge together. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xianxia and Xianxia. Lu Ming, Xianxia and I will cast the dark holy light cage together later to trap a 7th tier virtual G. Oh. Then we'll charge together. Xianxia replied. Lu Ming nodded silently. At this moment the other party had already lost his patience. If you're so stubborn, then let's just kill them both. And NBC fire. The bow-wielding youth shouted and pulled the bow. His G.O.D. power surged and an arrow shot out. Retreat. Lu Ming shouted in a low voice and retreated frantically with Xianxia and Xianxia. You want to leave? Die. The young man with the large bow shouted and shot an arrow. It was an arrow of light that was incomparably resplendent. Like a meteor, it shot toward Lu Ming, emitting a terrifying power. Lu Ming had used the fallen star bow before. He knew that the single target attack power of the bow and arrow as a weapon was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming did not dare to take it head-on. Qiu. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew out. It turned into a shield and blocked in front of him. Plang. The arrow was like a shooting star hitting the shield that Qiu had transformed into. The shield trembled non-stop, but in the end it was still blocked. Kill. At the same time the other 4 young men and women charged at Lu Ming and the other 2. In particular, the 7th level Void G.O.D. level powerhouse was the fastest and approached Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. Downwind sword slash. Die. The young man bellowed as he swung his saber. A crescent-shaped saber light slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not have the time to think. He waved his long spear to block the attack. This long spear was a level 9 low-grade divine artifact. The long spear vibrated and Lu Ming exerted the incomplete divine skill to its maximum. Plang. The long spear and the saber light collided. Lu Ming felt an extremely terrifying force flowing along the long spear and surging toward him, wanting to tear his body apart. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood and his body was sent flying hundreds of meters. Strong. He was too strong. With Lu Ming's current combat strength he was no match for a 6th level virtual G.O.D. level powerhouse, let alone a 7th level virtual G.O.D. level powerhouse. The difference was too great. One move and Lu Ming was injured. However, with this delay, Xianxia and Xianxia finally made their move. Dark Holy Light Technique. With 2 shouts, it was as if 2 suns had suddenly appeared in the sky, one pitch black and the other pure white. The black and white light intertwined and turned into a dark holy light cage, enveloping the 7th tier Void G.O.D. realm expert. Boom. The opponent's attack did not break the dark holy light cage. However, the other 3 6th level Void G.O.D. realm powerhouses had also arrived. Boom. 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 The 3 of them attacked at the same time, launching a terrifying attack. Whoosh. Whoosh. Xianxia and Xianxia struck out with their swords, and their sword lights collided with their enemies. Plang. Plang. Xianxia and Xianxia used the force of the explosion to retreat. A level 9 low-grade G.O.D. artifact. The other party looked at the swords in Xianxia and Xianxia's hands with greed. The swords in Xianxia and Xianxia's hands were naturally given to them by Lu Ming. They were both level 9 low-grade divine artifacts. Retreat. Xianxia and Xianxia retreated to Lu Ming's side and the 3 of them continued to retreat. Qiu also flew back quickly and met up with Lu Ming and the rest. Don't even think about leaving, chase. The young man with the bow shouted and chased after them. The other 3 young men and women at the 6th level of the Void G.O.D. realm also gave chase. Whoosh. The young man with the large bow shot out another terrifying arrow, but it was blocked by Xiao. Boom. At this moment the young man who was trapped in the dark holy light cage had also blasted open the dark holy light cage and was chasing after Lu Ming and the rest. The two sides, one chasing and the other fleeing, quickly went far away. We must kill them. At this moment the 5 young men and women with bows in their hands were all shocked. After a short fight, they realized that the combat strength of Lu Ming and the rest was shockingly high. Lu Ming was only a demi-G. While Xianxia and Xianxia were only at 3rd level Void G. realm. How could they block their attacks with such cultivation bases? Sacred grade divine power. Lu Ming and the rest must have mastered the divine grade divine power. Otherwise they would not be so powerful. Such a person must be killed. Leaving him alive would only bring disaster. Soon, both parties had covered 100 miles. Holy light escape technique. At that moment, holy light emanated from Xianxia's body, making him look like a holy maiden. Then a pure white halo spread out and enveloped Lu Ming, Xianxia and the other two. Whoosh. Immediately their speed skyrocketed and became several times faster than before. They turned into a rainbow light and flew away, disappearing from the sight of the bow-wielding young man and the others. It. The few young men roared. That must be some kind of secret technique to escape. There must be some residual effects from such a fast speed. Chase after them. This time we must kill them. The young man with the large bow said coldly. The 5 young men continued to chase in the direction where Lu Ming and the rest had disappeared. Xianxia carried Lu Ming and Xianxia and flew for hundreds of thousands of miles before stopping. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. She's injured from using the holy light escape technique. Let's find a safe place first, Xianxia said. Lu Ming nodded and left the place with Xianxia. Very quickly they had run another few 100,000 miles. The others couldn't run as fast in the forest because they didn't know when they would be attacked by the plant life forms. However, they had Xiao with them. It could sense the presence of plant life forms and avoid them in advance. Then they found a hidden valley and rushed in. As soon as they entered the valley, Lu Ming immediately took out a healing pill and fed it to Xianxia so that she could channel her energy to heal her injuries. Chapter 2664 Lu Ming becomes the sacred son of Floating Lights faction. Huangwu. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold glint. It was obvious that the other party wanted to get rid of him in the forest. This time it was a close call but not a dangerous one. Breakthrough, I must quickly break through. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. This time it was all thanks to Xiao, Xianxia and Xianxia. Xianxia had an extraordinary background. He risked his injuries and cast a secret escape technique to help them escape. Otherwise Lu Ming would be in danger on his own. Strength. Lu Ming was in desperate need of strength. There were too many experts in the primeval universe and deities were everywhere. Lu Ming's current ability was too weak. After the previous cultivation, my divine power has strengthened a lot. If it's strengthened a little more I can try to break through to the martial G. D realm. Lu Ming pondered. Then he swallowed a healing elixir and started to heal himself. Previously he had received an attack from a 7th level Void G. D realm expert and was slightly injured. A few hours later Lu Ming's injuries were fully healed. In his dantian, a wisp of divine fire was burning brightly. Divine power was constantly overflowing and flowing through his meridians. However, the density of the divine power was not complete. It was still lacking. Then let's give it a shot. Lu Ming took out 2 jade bottles. These 2 jade bottles were filled with spirit strengthening pills. Lu Ming originally had 2 bottles of spirit strengthening pills. Each bottle contained 9 pills. He had used a few pills in his previous cultivation and had more than 10 pills left. Xianxia appeared beside Lu Ming in a flash. Lu Ming, go on with your cultivation. It'll protect you, Xianxia said. The moment Lu Ming took out the spirit strengthening pill, Xianxia immediately understood what Lu Ming was thinking. All right. Lu Ming nodded. His eyes were filled with determination. He took a deep breath and inhaled the dozen or so spirit strengthening pills. Boom, boom, boom. The effects of the spirit strengthening pills were too strong. Once they dissolved, they turned into surging energy waves that surged through Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming gathered his energy. His divine fire burned fiercely and he began to refine the medicinal power frantically. Fortunately, the effect of the spirit-strengthening pill was to increase divine power, so it was not that difficult to refine. If it were any other type of elixir, Lu Ming would be torn apart if he were to consume so many of them at once, no matter how strong his physical body was. The rich medicinal power was continuously refined and transformed into divine power. Lu Ming's divine power was getting stronger and stronger. It was like mercury flowing in his meridians. This was divine power. Divine power was much more powerful than world power. A wisp of divine power could easily penetrate the power of a world. Back then, if Lu Ming had not comprehended the way of the ruler and mastered the power of the ruler, it would have been impossible for him to fight against a virtual G.O.D. level with his heavenly emperor-level cultivation base. Only a heaven-defying power like the path of domination could allow Lu Ming, who was at the heavenly emperor realm, to fight against virtual G.O.D. Boom, boom, boom. When all the medicinal effects had been refined, the divine energy in Lu Ming's body was already very rich. It flowed continuously in his meridians and returned to the divine fire. That's enough. I'll try to break through to the martial G.O.D. realm. Lu Ming had an idea. Then the divine fire in his dantian suddenly rose. Originally, the divine fire was only the size of a fist, but now it was growing crazily. Even the divine energy flowing in Lu Ming's meridians seemed to have been ignited and turned into divine fire. And NBSP hoo. Lu Ming's entire person seemed to be enveloped in a ball of flames. Lu Ming was about to break through to the martial G.O.D. realm. Once he succeeded, his physical body would become a divine body. Those who had a divine body were G.O.D. 2 days pause. Said just like that. Boom. A shocking aura suddenly burst out from his body. A pillar of light shot into the sky. The aura soared into the clouds. Between heaven and earth, endless divine qi surged toward Lu Ming. Not good. Xianxia and Xianyanjin's expressions changed. Such a huge commotion would probably attract the attention of others. Devour. At that moment, Lu Ming took out a large number of divine crystals and blasted them. Divine qi surged into Lu Ming's body and was refined into divine power. Boom, boom, boom. The divine fire in Lu Ming's dantian began to grow rapidly. The divine power in his body also became thicker and thicker. Lu Ming absorbed tens of thousands of divine crystals in one go before he stopped. He had reached the first level of the void G.O.D. realm. Lu Ming had completely become a G.O.D. and entered first level virtual G.O.D. level, so his combat strength had increased greatly. My battle formula seems to have broken through. As soon as he had a breakthrough in his cultivation, Lu Ming had a feeling. He realized that his battle character formula had also broken through the bottleneck and entered a new realm. Previously, although the battle symbol art could 100% trigger the double combat power, it was very difficult to improve it. Now Lu Ming felt that he could trigger the battle formula that tripled his combat power. That's right, 3 times the combat power. However, there should be a chance of success if his combat strength was tripled. It was the same as when he had doubled his combat strength in the past. It was impossible to have a 100% success rate. Lu Ming had to continue to comprehend. Let's go, well, leave this place first. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and stood up. The commotion caused by the breakthrough just now was huge and he was afraid that it would attract the enemy. Let's go. Xianxia and Xianyanjuan also nodded. The 3 of them rushed out of the valley and into the depths of the forest. At this moment, there were indeed many people who were alarmed by the commotion caused by Lu Ming's breakthrough and they came over. The 3 of them ran at top speed, but after a distance they were still blocked. Brat, let's see where you're going to run. Stop. With a cold shout, 3 young men appeared in front of him, blocking his way. These 3 people were the 3 people who wanted to kill Lu Ming and the other 4. One of them was at the 7th level of the Void G.O.D. realm while the other 2 were at the 6th level of the Void G.O.D. realm. Die, downwind sword slash. The 3 young men charged at Lu Ming at top speed. The 7th tier Void G.O.D. realm young man swung his saber again, and a terrifying saber light slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew out. It turned into a metal ball and collided with the other party. Lu Ming, Xianxia and Xianyanjuan charged at the 2 6th level Void G.O.D. level youths. Buzz. Lu Ming's spear swept towards the 6th level Void G. Oh. level youth. The moment he attacked, Lu Ming had already activated the double combat power of the battle formula. Boom. There was a loud explosion and the young man's expression changed drastically. He had a look of disbelief on his face. Then his body was sent flying by Lu Ming like a cannonball. He crashed into a giant tree with a diameter of 10 meters and the giant tree was smashed into pieces. The other party was shocked. How did Lu Ming's strength suddenly increase? Kill. Lu Ming let out a long howl and charged towards the man. He had already broken through to the 1st level of the Void G. Oh. D realm and his divine power was several times stronger than before. He could completely crush a 6th level Void G. Oh. D realm. When Lu Ming was a demi D, he was able to fight against Huang Wu, who was at the 5th level of the Void G. Oh. D realm. He was able to suppress his opponent with a level 9 low-grade divine artifact. Now that he had broken through to virtual G. Oh. D level, Lu Ming could completely crush 6th level virtual G. Oh. D level existences. Moreover, he was a genius. In fact, Lu Ming could even fight against a 7th tier virtual G. Oh. T. One had to know that the higher one's cultivation was, the greater the gap between each level. It was not that easy to cross. Chapter 2665. Two factions joining hands. Whoosh. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward. The spear's radiance was dazzling as it charged toward the other party. The other party was shocked. He tried his best to resist but it was useless. He was sent flying by Lu Ming. Even his divine weapon was sent flying and his arms were broken. Kill. Then Lu Ming's long spear swept across and directly blew up the 6th level Void G. Oh. Level existence, killing him on the spot. The other two were shocked. At this moment, a ray of light shot towards Lu Ming at a terrifying speed. It was an arrow, a terrifying arrow. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming swept his long spear backward and collided with the arrow. Boom. An intense explosion sounded out as if the sun had exploded, creating shockwaves that spread out in all directions. Buzz. The long spear in Lu Ming's hands trembled continuously. A terrifying force surged through Lu Ming's long spear and charged towards him. Lu Ming's figure drifted backward. He only stopped after he retreated a few hundred meters. The attack power of these arrows is truly astonishing. Lu Ming felt that his arm was a little numb and he was secretly shocked. Brat, you can actually block my attack. A shocked voice was heard. In the forest far away, 7 or 8 figures flickered and rushed over. One of them was the young man with the big bow. Nest, there are so many people. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Before there were only 5 of them including the young man with the bow. Now there were 5 or 6 more. Some of them had terrifying auras that were not any weaker than the young man with the bow. Needless to say, from the killing intent emanating from the other party, he was also from Huang Wu's sect. Right now, Lu Ming could barely contend against a 7th level Void G. Oh. D, but he could not defeat the other party. The key was that Lu Ming kept activating the battle character formula in an attempt to trigger the tripled combat power, but he kept failing. Little Qing, let's go. Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed towards Xianxia and the rest. Xianxia and Xianxia had joined forces to defeat the 6th level ethereal G. Oh. D realm young man and had already suppressed him. Meanwhile, Xianxia was locked in a fierce battle with that 7th level Void G. Oh. D realm existence. Kill. He rushed to Xianxing's side and stabbed the young man with his spear. The other party was shocked. However, he was already suppressed by Xianxia and Lu Ming. How could he deal with Lu Ming? He was stabbed to death by Lu Ming. Ah, you're looking for death. 2 people had died in a row. The bow-wielding youth and the rest were furious. He shot another arrow but it was blocked by Lu Ming's spear. Let's go. Lu Ming, Xianxia, and Xianxia also abandoned their opponents and ran in one direction. Chase him. We must kill him. Kill this R.D. Kill. Furious roars came from behind them as they charged toward Lu Ming and the rest. I'm still a little weak. Lu Ming was a little depressed. There were too many people on the other side. If there were only 5 people they could still fight. But now the number of people on the other side had doubled. If they were to fight they would be in danger. The chase and escape covered thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. There was someone in front. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. If they had met other disciples of the sect, the people from the Floating Light faction would not have been so bold as to attack them in public. Although they were no longer in the sect, the other party would still have some reservations. However, Lu Ming's expression changed at the next moment. Lu Ming recognized one of the people in front of him. One of them was a young man in luxurious clothes from the Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. He had previously asked Lu Ming to meet the young man surnamed Ing with an extremely bad attitude. At that moment the other party also saw Lu Ming and the rest. It's this brat. The eyes of the young man in luxurious clothes turned cold. This brat actually dared to reject the invitation of our Tianhong Saint Sun's faction. He'll be a disaster sooner or later. It's a good time to get rid of him now. Immediately, the young man in luxurious clothes and the others rushed toward Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming secretly groaned. He didn't expect to meet the young man in luxurious clothes and the others here. From the killing intent they emitted, it went without saying that they wanted to kill him as well. You want to kill me just because you refused to join the other party's camp. Lu Ming was filled with anger. When his strength increased in the future, he would definitely destroy the Tianhong Saint Sun's and the Transient Light Saint Sun's factions with his own hands. Brat die. A long sword appeared in the hand of the young man in luxurious clothes. He slashed out with a terrifying power. The young man had reached peak 7th level of Ethereal D realm, which was not far from 8th level of Ethereal D realm. His power was very shocking. Lu Ming and the rest were unwilling to fight head-on with the other party. Once they were entangled by the other party, they would be in trouble when the powerful enemies behind them caught up and surrounded them. With so many experts, once they joined forces, they would be in great danger. They immediately changed direction and rushed to the right. If you want to leave, then stay. The young man in luxurious clothes led a few people and chased after Lu Ming and the rest. Behind him, the bow-wielding youth and the others also chased after him. He's from the Floating Light faction. This kid injured Huang Wu, so it's normal for these people to want to kill him. The luxuriously dressed young man's heart moved, and he immediately knew what was going on. Let's join forces and kill this brat. The young man in luxurious clothes sent a message to the bow-wielding young man and the others. All right. The two parties teed off and chased after Lu Ming and the rest together. At this moment, a figure appeared in the sky. It was the outer sect deacon of the Tianhong faction. The old man's name was Li Zhong. This kid is actually fine. He's really lucky. A cold light flashed in Lu Zhong's eyes and then he looked back. From that direction, a ray of light was approaching at an extreme speed. It was another outer sect deacon. We can't let him ruin this. We'll stop him. He muttered to himself and then flew to another deacon. Lu Zhong, what's going on? I can feel a huge movement here. The deacon who came later said. It's fine. Some disciples are chasing after a few plant life forms. Don't worry, I'm here. Nothing will happen. He laughed. That's good. The deacon who came later did not doubt him. He nodded and left. Lu Ming and the rest ran for another 10,000 miles. They slowed down. When they reached this place, it became more and more remote. However, there were fewer and fewer plants, especially plant life forms. They almost did not encounter any. Suddenly they discovered that an abyss had appeared in front of them. Blood-red mist was constantly emitting from the abyss, seriously blocking their vision and making it impossible to see what was inside. Let's go in. Lu Ming and the rest did not stop and rushed towards the abyss. In the abyss, there was a blood-red mist that obstructed his vision. This way he could use the environment here to shake off the other party. However, when they reached the sky above the abyss, their expressions changed drastically. In the abyss, a terrifying gravitational force suddenly acted on their bodies. This gravitational force was too strong, making it difficult for them to fly. They directly fell into the abyss. Chapter 2666. Bloodthirsty Plant Life Form Lease Reading Omicron and Novel Cool. Omicron. Lu Ming and the rest fell into the abyss like meteors, causing the luxuriously dressed young man, the bow-wielding young man and the rest who were chasing after them to be greatly shocked. They stopped in their tracks. The group landed beside the abyss, their faces solemn. They did not continue forward. This place is very evil. One feel uneasy. The young man in luxurious clothes muttered. Let's surround this place first. If that brat doesn't die, he'll definitely come out and it won't be too late to kill him then. The young man with the bow said. He felt a little uneasy. In the end they did not dare to enter the abyss. They decided to stay here and wait for Lu Ming to come out. In fact, they even sent voice transmissions to call for more help. This was because the strength of Lu Ming and the rest made them uneasy. They were too strong. They were simply too strong. Not long after, more and more people from the two factions arrived. There were more than 10 7th-level Void God Realm existences. However, no one was above the 8th level of the Void God Realm. After all, these people had all entered the sect in the last 3,000 years. It was already good enough for them to reach the 7th level of Ethereal God Realm. Lu Zhong naturally saw all of this, but he turned a blind eye to it. In the end, he simply left this place. After all, he was a deacon. If others knew that he deliberately indulged, it would not be good for him. Lu Ming, Xianxia and Xianxia kept falling. Fortunately, the abyss was not very high, only about 1,000 meters deep. Boom, boom, boom. The three of them adjusted their positions and stomped heavily on the ground, producing 3 loud bangs. Then the three of them started to look around. This is, Lu Ming and the other two could not help but be shocked. At the bottom of the abyss, there were dead trees, rotten grass and other things piled up together. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw a green flash among a pile of dead wood. He walked over and circulated his divine power to absorb it. A piece of green thing flew out. Wood crystal. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was actually a wood crystal and its energy was rich and powerful. Obviously its level was not low. There's one here too. Xianxia exclaimed. She also found a piece of wood crystal in a pile of rotten grass. Their eyes were burning with passion. Could it be that many plant life forms had fallen here and all the wood crystals had fallen here? If that was the case, wouldn't he be rich? Immediately, the three of them flickered and rummaged through the piles of dead wood and rotten grass. As expected, they continued to find more and more wood crystals. Those dead trees and rotten grass were obviously plant life forms. However, for some unknown reason, their essence energy had been lost and they had turned into dead trees and rotten grass, leaving behind only wood crystals. After a while, they found more than 10 wood crystals. Each of them had abundant energy, which was even more abundant than the wood crystals left by the 5th-level Ethereal God Realm plant life form they had killed. The plant life forms that left behind these wood crystals were all at least at the 5th level of the Void God Realm. Imrich, let's continue. The three of them were very excited and started to sweep the bottom of the abyss. They did not expect that the bottom of the abyss would be such a treasure land. Moreover, the young man in luxurious clothes and the rest did not chase after them. Lu Ming speculated that the other party probably had some concerns and did not dare to chase after them. This way they could plunder more without worry. But suddenly, a rustling sound rang out, causing the expressions of the few people to change. Be careful, there's a living being approaching. Xianxia's expression turned serious as she felt a sense of danger. Lu Ming and Xianxia's faces were equally grave. Lu Ming even felt his hair stand on end and his heart clenched. It seems that the wood crystals here are indeed not that easy to get. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. The three of them formed a circle and looked around carefully. At this moment, the blood-colored fog in the abyss was even thicker. The rustling sound was getting closer and closer. Bush, bush. Suddenly, there was a terrifying whistling sound coming from the ground. A few blood-red rays of light burst out from the ground and stabbed at them. Be careful. Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. A long spear appeared and swept out. Thump. Lu Ming's long spear seemed to have swept across a piece of leather. There was a loud thud, but the red light was not sent flying. Instead it wrapped around him. It was a tentacle, a blood-red tentacle that looked like the root of a tree. At this moment, Xianxia and Xianxia also made their moves. Their sword radiances slashed across the blood-red roots, leaving sword marks on them. However, they did not manage to cut them open. These roots were extremely hard. Boom. Lu Ming immediately activated the tripled combat strength. The long spear shook violently and 13 layers of strength burst out. Finally, the root was shaken away. Then Lu Ming kept his long spear and took out a combat sword. To deal with such roots, the combat sword was more practical. Break. Lu Ming held the sword with both hands and unleashed his combat strength. The purple gold ruler's power burst out from the sword and slashed at one of the roots. The root was cut off by Lu Ming. Blood spurted out of the cut root and the air was filled with blood. The root seemed to be in pain. Not far away there was a zhi sound. Then the roots retracted. But the next moment, a giant creature appeared from the blood mist. What the hell is this thing? Lu Ming gasped at the sight of the huge object. This was also an ancient tree. Its entire body was blood red, and on its trunk, there were many tentacle-like roots that were constantly waving. Its roots were very well developed and there were at least a few hundred of them. They were also like roots but also like blood-red poisonous snakes. One look at them would make one's scalp tingle. There was no doubt that it was a plant life form and an extremely terrifying one at that. This is an extremely rare bloodthirsty plant life form. It specializes in devouring the blood of other plant life forms, even the blood of other living creatures. Careful. Xian Yinjuan reminded. This plant life form. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. When he was in the primordial realm's divine wilderness continent, he had encountered such plant life forms that specialized in devouring the blood of other living creatures. However, they were far from being this powerful. The ancient tree used its roots as legs and slithered toward Lu Ming and the rest, emitting a frightening aura. Whoosh, whoosh. Then dozens of blood-red roots swept toward Lu Ming and the other two with shocking power. Bang! Qiu flew out and bit down on one of the roots, directly breaking it. Lu Ming and the other two also launched their attacks. However, these roots were very hard and powerful. It was very difficult to cut them off. The most shocking thing was that even after they cut off the roots, the other party's roots would quickly heal and attack them again. 3 times the combat strength, burst. As Lu Ming attacked, he constantly triggered the battle formula, wanting to trigger the tripled combat power. Boom. After dozens of times, a powerful force emerged in Lu Ming's body. The tripling of combat power had been successfully triggered,